What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another review stream as Spurs beat Frankfurt 3-2 last night in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which was a very topsy-turvy game. If you're new around here, do scroll down, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. We really appreciate all your support. But look, let's get straight into it because it really was a topsy-turvy game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. Before we actually get into it, shall we go and take a look at the stats and see by numbers how Spurs performed in this game?
Yeah, just one. Yeah, 1 sec. Let's get the stats up. Wait, can you take them off 1 second? Yeah. Because the camera's not. Maybe we'll go into it in a sec.
Yeah, start. So, like, where do you want to start? Because like the first 10 minutes was shocking yesterday. We came out the traps really slow. And Frankfurt looked good. And we didn't really get into the game like it usually happens in the first 10 minutes. But, you know, even before Frankfurt scored, we still had that chance, didn't we, with Richarlison, where he really should have slotted that header into the back of the net. But the real calamity of errors really happened when we did give away that goal. And Eric Dyer, with such sloppy play, just basically passing it to Frankfurt. Lloris tries to get the ball away, can't really do it. But you've got to have a look at Eric Dyer there. And what is that all about?
Well, I think to be fair to Dyer, I did think that Romero overhit the pass slightly, but just because he overhit the pass doesn't mean he had to take that heavy touch, and that heavy touch was obviously a consequence of that heavy touch was a consequence of the overhit pass, but it was really, really poor from Dyer, and there was not really too many excuses he can have, and I think that obviously put us in really, really big trouble, and then obviously we concede the first goal and we get off to the worst possible start. Thankfully, we've been very good at overturning these. We've been very good at overturning these bad starts when we've conceded the first goal at home. But it wasn't a great start at all whatsoever. And Frankfurt did start the game really well, and we started pretty sloppily. It wasn't great from us, and I think that's definitely something we got to work on, starting these games better, because it's happened way too often that we're too slow, we're too lethargic, we give the opposition too much control early doors, we're not aggressive enough, and we paid the price for it early on. So that was the most disappointing thing with the start. In terms of the goal itself, Eric Dyer obviously was really sloppy for the goal, and then Hugo Lloris tried his best to save the situation. I see people blaming him for the first goal, but I think he did his best. He got a hand to it. He actually saved the situation momentarily before Frankfurt were able to play around our defence and score an open goal. So I don't blame Hugo, but Eric Dyer and Romero were very, very sloppy for that goal, and that was really, really disappointing. But we did turn it around, and we were back in the lead in no time. So that was really, really positive.
Yeah, and I think that it really was the way we responded to going down. I know the first 10 minutes were horrible. We could have taken the lead, to be fair, before we did go 1-0 down. But once we responded, after we scored that goal, that equaliser, we had such total domination of that game, and I thought we played really well. Some really key performers out there. I thought Pierre-Emile Højbjerg once again was absolutely sensational, running things in the middle of the park. Sonny was back to his best. I mean, Kane, he played a really, Conte said he played a really specific role in the team yesterday, and I really noticed it yesterday because, especially in that first half, everything good that we were doing was all coming through Harry Kane, and he was like that hub of the team yesterday. And I thought he had a really good game, Harry Kane, yesterday, much better than it has been the past couple of weeks. And he really enabled Sonny to play as well as he did. And Sonny was literally at it all the time, running at the defence, causing no ends of problems. But like I said, like as soon as we scored that equaliser, it was total domination pretty much up until the last 10 minutes. And that domination, we probably should have killed we definitely should have killed the game a lot quicker than we did, really.
Yeah, if you bring up the phone, you can see. All right. So, okay, if you can see the progress bar here. Sorry about that, guys. The audio should be back now. The blue is Frankfurt. The green is Spurs. You can see here, first 15 minutes, Frankfurt got the goal, and they were very much on top for the early part. And then Tottenham pretty much dominated all the way up until that red card. You can see the red card here on the right-hand side. We've got obviously the 3 goals. And then once a red card comes, we completely drop off, and you can see that here pretty much in the progress bar, and that is really, really frustrating from a Spurs point of view. Why did we drop off so much after Frankfurt got sent off? And to be honest, Conte, I'm happy Conte took some blame, because I did think as much as the players were at fault for dropping off, I think him as well was at fault for maybe being too cautious and maybe thinking the game was done at 3-1 and down to 10 men, because I think his subs were a bit cautious. I think Spurs were playing in a cautious manner once that red card came. And what we should have done is really gone for the throat, because we started the second half really strongly, looking like we were going to kill the game, like looking for that 4th goal like as soon as possible. And it's almost as if that red card stopped our momentum in a weird way, because as soon as that red card came, we stopped pushing, we stopped being aggressive, and we just kind of, maybe it's understandable to conserve energy and all these kind of things, that's what people are saying, but why aren't we carrying on going for that 4th goal? And then once we get the 4th goal, then maybe you can take your foot off the gas and you can say, okay, the game's won now. But 3-1, everyone knows if they get a goal from somewhere, all of a sudden the dynamics change, and there's you're only 1 goal away from dropping the result. So I think Conte's subs, for me, bringing on that 3rd midfielder at that time was wrong. And then he kind of screwed himself a bit, because once they scored a goal, then he needed the 3rd midfielder, but the 3rd midfielder was already off because he realised he had a problem and he changed it. So I think Conte probably got that wrong. I think the players need criticism for taking it so easy after a red card.
Seems like they thought the game was pretty much won already, and the game was over once that man was sent off. It seems like they took their foot off the gas. It got a bit to their heads yesterday about how dominant we actually were, and the game. It seemed as though the game was already done, and you can't really take that attitude in the Champions League. Every team in the Champions League is going to be a decent side, so even when you're not playing decent sides, you can't take your foot off the gas, and that's what we did, and that's what we did. And I think Conte was talking about big lessons to be learned from yesterday, and I think that's exactly right, because we need to keep going till the end all the time. We can't rest on our laurels at all. Even if you're down to 10 men and you've got a 2-goal advantage, you cannot rest on your laurels. Yeah, and that's what we did yesterday.
100%. And I think, and I'm glad that Conte said himself that he was to blame, because I don't want him to take some criticism away from himself, because I did think he was a bit to blame, so I'm happy about that. But bring on the phone one more time as well, just so we can see from yesterday. This is the average position of all the players yesterday. As you can see there on the right-hand side, that's Sonny furthest forward, and that makes a big difference to when you compare his position when we played Arsenal a few weeks ago. It was really deep. It was like almost inside his own half. That's where Sonny is at his best, a bit more central, and our furthest forward player playing on the last line. You can see Kane pretty near him as well. Maybe more over to the right hand, to the left hand side than you expect, Harry Kane, which is what clearly Conte was demanding. Richarlison was also not as far forward as Heung-min Son, but I think Sonny, that's been one of his biggest problems this season. Why he hasn't been so involved. He's been a lot of the time a bit too far wide and a bit too deep. Last season, when he was at his best, he was very central. And he was very far forward, and he was playing pretty much as on the last line. And he got back to that yesterday, and I think against Brighton as well, it was very similar. So I'm very happy he's starting to pick up those positions again, and that's when he looks most dangerous. And he's looking at his sharpest again, which I'm really happy.
I think that was his best performance by some way of the season so far. When you're looking at his performance yesterday, because I know he came on and scored a hat-trick against Leicester, but this one from once we took our dominance, he was looking to hurt them every time he got the ball. Every time he got the ball, he was looking to make those runs. He looked like he had a couple more yards of pace about him yesterday as well. And that link up with Harry Kane was there for all to see. I mean, in terms of the goals yesterday, that first goal, lovely bit of movement from Harry Kane to slot it through to Heung-min Son, and Sonny with a lovely, cool, calm and collected finish into the bottom corner. But that volley, Sonny's second goal, man, what a goal. Because Højbjerg kind of cocked it up a little bit, but then he won the ball back. I think even Emerson won the ball back and then played it to Højbjerg. What a lovely cross, pinpoint to find Heung-min Son, and that volley. How sweet did he catch that volley yesterday, Sonny?
Unbelievable on his left foot. Wade just watched it drop, and that was unstoppable strike from a Heung-min Son. And it was a brilliant team goal as well. I think Richarlison did really well in the build-up to that goal to get it to Højbjerg as well.
Oh, it was Richarlison,
yeah, and Højbjerg, I thought, obviously capped off another marvellous performance with an assist. And now that's 4 home games in a row. He's got an attacking return. And we spoke about, at the beginning of the season, the need for one of our midfielders to start contributing a bit more to the attack. And Højbjerg seems to be the one who's doing that for us. And it's really, really positive, because we've seen for Denmark that he can be pretty effective in the final third when given the opportunity, and he's starting to do that now with Tottenham this season. And that's another assist off the back of a few assists. He got an assist against Leicester, he got a goal against Fulham. So he's starting to really contribute in the attacking third, and it was a brilliant cross into Heung-min Son. Can't take anything away from that, and a brilliant run as well down the right-hand side. But yeah, what an unbelievable volley from Heung-min Son on his so-called weaker foot. Absolutely fantastic from him, and it was a brilliant goal, and obviously went 3-1 up, and it looked like we were in full control at that point. Obviously, we had the penalty, which I don't know why he had to go to VAR for that. It was a clear penalty.
He looked at it for so long as well.
I don't know why it was. Yeah, he had a good few watches of it, but it was obviously going to be given. And I think, to be fair, Kane doesn't get enough credit for winning that penalty as well, because I think he beat 2 or 3 players, bundling himself into the penalty area, and then he earned that penalty. So anyone saying like he only, obviously he scored the penalty, but anyone saying that's all he contributed or anything like that, I thought he earned that penalty himself. And he deserved it. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. I thought, but apart from the penalty, like I said before, I thought he was the hub of the team yesterday. Harry Kane, really good performance. But back on Højbjerg for a second, you talk about him like really contributing going forward now, and you know it makes like comparisons to maybe Granit Xhaka this season, where he's really stepped it up and he's contributing going forward, where the whole of the Premier League is talking about, well, a lot of people are talking about Granit Xhaka at the moment, about how good of a season he's having. Why is Højbjerg not really getting the praise that he deserves from maybe outside of Tottenham right now?
Couldn't tell you. He deserves it. I think he's been one of the most consistent and effective central midfielders in the league this season. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. He always does the dirty work off the ball. That's never been in question. That's never been in doubt. And I think obviously he did that again yesterday. I thought off the ball again he was phenomenal. He's such a good shield for that back three. I think obviously when times last season when he did have people like Winks next to him, there were times where he was struggling, but always when he's had a solid partner next to him who can help him out defensively, he never really looks overrun. But this season, he's really stepping up in all facets of the game, and I don't think he's had a bad game this season. He's been really, really strong. I just think maybe it's the style of football we play doesn't lend to much praise, I guess, and that's why you see Arsenal playing free-flowing football and Xhaka putting in good performances. Naturally, he's going to get more praise, but I think Højbjerg deserves just as much praise this season, if not more, with the level of performance he's been showing this season. I think he's been phenomenal, and I'm so happy with him. Still, a lot of people made up their minds about Højbjerg ages ago. Now, some people sticking to their guns, but at the moment, you can't say anything bad about him. He's just been fantastic this season. The only thing I would say about Højbjerg is maybe he needs to have this kind of level of performance. I wouldn't say he's been bad against the big teams, but maybe going forward, I haven't seen him contribute against one of the better teams yet, like get a goal or an assist or something against one of the really good teams. Maybe that's what you could argue, but I think at the moment he's playing really, really well and consistently well as well. There's been a bit of a debate. Has he been our player of the season so far this season? For me, I mean, if you're looking at the candidates, he's definitely up there as a very strong candidate. I know it's only 9 games in the Premier League, but I can't think of too many more consistent performers so far than Højbjerg for us.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane, with the goals he's scored so far in the Premier League, it's hard not to give it to him. But I think it's between those two, between Harry Kane and Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg. But when you're talking about performances from minute 1 to minute 90 and game by game, I think Højbjerg probably edges it, to be honest. I know Kane's getting the goals, but Højbjerg, the job that he does for the team week in, week out, we're starting to give him 8s and 9s pretty much every single week now, and that's testament to how well he's playing. So I would actually give it to Højbjerg so far, player of the season so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's been our most consistent performer, and I just think people still. I think there are some people who still just kind of won't get out of their mind that they've rated him badly, and they can't stand that he's good. But the fact of the matter is, he's been brilliant, and I think people should acknowledge that.
Yeah, completely agree. A couple more players I want to talk about. First one, Richarlison. I thought he was really good yesterday, Richarlison. I thought we really saw finally his link-up play turn up yesterday. I thought he was linking up really well with Kane, Son, the midfield, the wing-backs as well. Could have got a goal yesterday. I mean, there was that chance in the early stages of the game.
The keeper would have been very disappointed if that went in.
Yeah, but, he made the mistake. So, I mean, Richarlison, all he needed to do was nod it into the back of the net. But, look, apart from that, I thought he did a really solid job for the team yesterday, Richarlison.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, his link-up play, one of my biggest criticisms of Richarlison is his imprecision on the ball, and sometimes his first touch can be off, and his passing is definitely something to be desired. But I did actually feel yesterday, to be fair to him, it was a lot better on that right-hand side. He should have had an assist. He was very unlucky not to have an assist when he did really well down that right-hand side to beat, I think it was Ndika, got beyond him, then plays a brilliant ball across the face of goal to Sessegnon on the back post. Then Sessegnon, I don't know, maybe the defender got a touch on it or not, but Sessegnon to finish, obviously forced a good save out of Trapp. Should have really got a goal. Who
had a really good game, by the way, Trapp. Trapp made a number of good saves yesterday.
He did. Apart from that horrible mistake he had right at the beginning, he had a very good game. And I think Richarlison was actually linking up with Emerson really well. More Richarlison to Emerson than Emerson to Richarlison, but I thought he was really good in that sense, actually finding Emerson in really good positions. Only slight down thing is that he went off with a bit of an injury, and that's what Conte said, which is interesting because
said he should be back for Everton though.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting because when he went off, he didn't seem like he wanted to come off. So it's interesting that Conte
that's
said
just
he
his
has,
character though, isn't it?
Yeah, he seemed though he was very disappointed to come off. So whether he's disappointed because he's injured or he seemed like he wanted to stay on, but maybe that is just his character. But I thought on the right hand side it was much better than we've seen over the past few weeks from Richarlison. So I was very happy with that. Yeah, for sure, much improved.
Hugo Lloris. I mean, when are we going to talk about that Hugo Lloris save? Because it was absolutely sensational. Fingertips to get it over the bar. And you know what? Like people, whenever Hugo Lloris makes a mistake, everyone comes here on their numbers talking about Lloris. It's time to pick his successor. This, that. But when he makes saves like that, you don't really hear it that often. So I think it's right to give him the praise that he deserves yesterday. Because I thought not only that save, but I thought he had a really strong display yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, people were complaining about the second goal that he could have done that. He spilled it for the corner. Yeah, it wasn't his finest moment, but at the end of the day, all it cost was a corner. I know they scored from a corner, but when you're playing against 10 men, you should never, ever be conceding a set piece against 10 men. Never, because you're outnumbering the opposition in the box. So something's gone wrong from organisation standpoint if the opposition are scoring when they have 10 men from a set piece. So you can't blame that on Hugo. But yeah, look, he did spill the shot, and he'll be disappointed with that. But at the end of the day, like, if they didn't score from the corner, no one says anything. No one remembers it. It's just because they scored from the corner that people are bringing it up.
And let's be honest, that's the Emerson's defending why they did score from that corner. I mean,
why they got the corner as well.
Why they got the corner, why they scored from the corner. I mean, Emerson's frustrated me so much yesterday. I mean, there were a couple of times when Emerson just got easy balls played to him and he just let it run out for throw-ons and gave away possession so easily. I mean, defensively, for the most part, he was all right. But I think that that chance, when they scored that corner, that was his man. He was nowhere to be seen. He needs to be stronger defensively there. He's the one that gave away the corner quite stupidly. Going forward, he was nowhere to be seen for the most part. There was a couple of good. I mean, for Emerson, it was really like the good, the bad, the ugly, really, yesterday, wasn't it? A bit of good, mostly bad, and a lot of ugly.
People were saying by Emerson's standards, it was a good performance by Emerson, and I think for me, I think he was average again. Look, I don't think it was one of his worst displays, but again, he just leaves you wanting more because there's not enough quality there. He did put one good cross in right at the end of the first half, which Romero's header. Yeah. Forced a good save out of trap again, and that was, he nearly had an assist. But again, how many times does he get into the final third? He gets to the byline or he gets to the penalty area, and the quality just isn't there time after time after time. And look, that's just what you're gonna have to put up with Emerson, unfortunately, because he just doesn't have that quality. But it's not even a case of sometimes he's improving. I think he's a decent dribbler. I think he's got good pace. He can cover a lot of ground, but when he gets in those positions, he's consistently letting the side down, and that's the most frustrating thing. Defensively, I thought it was okay, apart from obviously the corner moment.
But what really frustrates me are those moments where he just lets the ball run out of play, like under no pressure whatsoever. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, he's a very frustrating player because he potentially has more to his game, but again, I just think we're going to have to put up with him until probably the summer, and then we'll see. We'll reassess it then. But I don't think he's going obviously, I don't think he's going away from the lineup anytime soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right. But on the other side, Ryan Sessegnon, I think he's really coming along now. You're really seeing the influence that Antonio Conte has on Ryan Sessegnon. I still want to see a bit more from him going forward, and in the final third, I want to see some good moments from him. I thought maybe he sometimes is left a bit wanting in those areas of the pitch. But what I'm really noticing about Ryan Sessegnon is how he's really able to physically impose himself on attackers now. I'm really seeing a difference in there, his defensive work, and really being able to win the ball back consistently and drive up the pitch.
Yeah, and he's quite good at getting to the back post as well. He does it a few times a game. He's a lot better than Emerson for sure at doing that, and he's much more of a threat. And then there was another good display from him. Perisic wasn't selected for the second game in a row, whether it's because Conte maybe he's preferring Sessegnon. Maybe he thinks Sessegnon is playing better at the moment. There's a good argument for it, but he preferred Sessegnon again in this game, and I thought he again backed up Conte's decision with another really good display on the left hand side off the back of a given man of the match against Brighton. So very positive for Sessegnon. Could have got on the score sheet. Could have got a couple of assists as well. Was a bit unlucky, but yeah, I agree with you. Physically, he's really starting to cover a lot of ground on that left-hand side, and we know that this left wing-back spot is his favourite position. That's one that suits him the most, and we're starting to see that now with Sessegnon. I still think he's got levels to go up, but he's starting to really consistently. He's showing why Conte is not afraid to rotate him with Perisic, and he's pretty comfortable with that. As opposed to other positions where he, in centre mid, he's not yet comfortable rotating a centre mid, centre back. He's still not quite comfortable rotating Dyer and Romero. But when it comes to left wing back, he's happy rotating Sessegnon and Perisic. He's happy with both of them, and this is why.
Yeah, and then obviously it comes to the latter stages of the game. We're coming under a bit of pressure. We go up the other end. We get a penalty from lovely work from Brian Hill, by the way. Well, kind of half good.
Yeah.
I mean, he got the ball in good area. He lost the ball kind of tripping over his feet kind of thing, but then they just give him the ball back with a stupid back heel, whatever it was. But that skill to get in the box and win that penalty from Bryan Gil was brilliant. It was really brilliant. Literally turn that defender inside out, wins the penalty really well. And then Harry Kane steps up and he blazes it over the bar. His second missed penalty this season already, which is actually unbelievable. I've never seen him take a penalty as bad as that one yesterday, which really would have sealed the game for us and would have taken away all those fears that we had going into the final embers of the game. Yeah,
for sure. And obviously we needed, and after that we nearly conceded, but thankfully the shot on target, Lloris was able to see it. But that penalty, Conte said the reason why he missed it is because he did a lot of running through the game. He was very tired, and you could see maybe how tired he was with not just that penalty, but also that moment just after the penalty when he just had to square it to Bryan Gil and he completely
kept delaying the pass as well. Like, he could have passed that so much earlier than he did, and he kept delaying it. Then he finally got it in, and it was just over his head.
Yeah, I think maybe it was tiredness, which led to it, because it was really late in the game, and he had done a lot of running during the game. So you could put it down to that, but very unlike Harry Kane to blaze a penalty over the bar like that. It was quite a way over the bar as well. Was not a good effort.
Still seen in orbit right now. Apparently,
it was a bit crazy. I've never really seen Kane do that to that extent. So he'll be disappointed with that. But look, I don't think it overshadows what in general was a very good game from him and a very good performance. He'll be annoyed. He'll probably be kicking himself that he missed a penalty, another opportunity to get on the score sheet. But you just put it down to one of those things, I think, at that moment, and is what it is. But yeah, talking about Bryan Gil, he had a bit of a mixed cameo for me. I think what he did well, he was he was industrious. The way he won the penalty was very impressive, but also a few moments that frustrated me. First of all, just before the penalty, he was played through by Kane and he couldn't get it right. He got stumbled over his feet. And there was a moment where he had to play a simple through ball to Lucas Moura, really simple, and he got it completely wrong. He got it wrong. The direction of the pass was off, and all of a sudden, Frankfurt had possession again, and that could have been a moment where he could have bagged himself an assist. It wasn't his fault. Kane didn't square it early enough to him, but that must have been frustrating for him. Could have had a chance to get on the score sheet, but again, too many times he's getting out muscled off the ball, and for him it's like almost as if he can't get too close to anyone, because if he gets too close to anyone, they're just going to muscle him away, and he's too easy to get off the ball. So that's something that we know he has to work on. Promising signs with the penalty and everything, but it's still a bit frustrating that it's too easy to muscle off the ball.
We need to send him to the Bayern school of getting hench or something, because he definitely needs to bulk up. But there's definitely a player in there, man. 100% there's a player in there. The guy's got so much talent. All he needs to do is bulk up a bit, get used to the English game, and I think he can be a real asset to us. I mean, with the ball at his feet, it's very hard to get the ball off him unless you do muscle him off the ball, because he's got such quick feet. He's so direct as well. And I kind of feel like sometimes he's just trying a bit too hard, Bryan Gil, and that's what leads to a few more mistakes. So I think he just needs to calm down a little bit and really just take a bit more time on the ball to think about what you want to do with it next. And I think he'll be an asset for us. Yeah. I really like Bryan Gil.
I sympathise with that, though, because whenever he gets on the pitch, he has 5 minutes, doesn't he? He never has much time, so he wants to do something with it, and he's an attacking flair player. He doesn't want to come on and just track his fullback and defend.
He wants to make a difference.
Exactly. That's I can understand that as an attacking player who rarely gets opportunity to play. You want to show what you can do when you get on the pitch, but unfortunately, it is a team game, and sometimes because of that neediness to kind of want to show something, prove yourself, he can become a bit of a liability sometimes when he keeps losing the ball and trying things. And it's unfortunate, but the reality is, it's because he's only getting so much time on the pitch, and I feel sorry for him on that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, if Kane actually slots that penalty yesterday, we're all talking about how Gil, won us that game pretty much with how he won that penalty. So I think that he deserves credit for the way he came on and played yesterday, Bryan Gil. I think it was better than when he came on out in Germany, where literally every time he got it, he was muscled off the ball. But even in that game in Germany, you saw signs of him really getting the ball in that corner flag, beating a few men. I mean, he can take it past people for fun with the talent he has, and that's a credit to him. And I think he just needs to channel that talent in the right way, go Antonio Conte's way, beef up a little bit, bulk up a little bit, and I think we'll have a player on our hands.
Yeah, 100%, 100% right, and I agree with that. He just needs more gym work. One other player to mention, Romero again. I think he's improving game on game, and I think this was even better than his last 2 games as well. Another really strong showing, so that was really positive. Other than that, I think overall it was a very strong. I
thought Longley was good as well yesterday.
Longley, his passing again into the front 2 really allowed good attacking situations as we attacked the space. I thought he was again a very positive showing from Clement Longley. So look, we're top of the group after Marseille beat Sporting. It's a very, very positive result, and I think very positive performance. It's just it just soured by those last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the first 10 and the last 10, it was total domination from Spurs yesterday. And I think for the most part, in those moments, we played really well yesterday. In the group now, our destiny is in our own hands now. And if we go and beat Sporting, who had 2 men sent off, by the way, so both of them are going to be suspended for our game. If we go beat Sporting, that's more or less us through, or we're definitely through if we beat them.
We are I thought we had to beat them by 2 goals, but actually looking at the table, I got it wrong. My maths was wrong. If we win, we're through.
Yeah,
because they're on 6 points and we're a point ahead of them on 7, so we'll be 4 points ahead of them if we win. And with Frankfurt on 4 still, they can't finish above us if we win. So obviously we might be able to finish second if Marseille beat us on the final day. But if we beat Sporting, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think if we beat Sporting and Marseille don't beat
we're
Frankfurt,
top.
that's it. We're top going to where it's over. So we're in a very good situation. It's pretty much just have to win, just have to beat Sporting, and that's it. We're done, and that's a good situation to be in. Especially given our home form. I think 100% record under Conte this season. I think someone posted in our group chat yesterday. I think we've won 11. We've won our last 11 home European games as well. So very strong at home in Europe. So I think
don't bring up the away form.
Forget the away form. We're playing at home. We're playing at home. That's the main thing. So Sporting as well had 2 red cards. Yesterday against Marseille. So they're going to be out for the game next week in 2 weeks' time. So a lot of stuff in our favour. Obviously, can't take it for granted. Sporting obviously are going to be fighting for their lives, needing a result.
They'll be kicking themselves after the way they started this group to be in the situation they're in.
Yeah, 100%. But we have to just be confident that our home form can take us through. And we've made the lane into a bit of a fortress. We have made it into a fortress, but one thing maybe to discuss is I've seen a few fans on social media complaining about the atmosphere yesterday and why it's wasn't maybe as intense or as loud as we want it to be. And I thought it was maybe something interesting to discuss. Someone said, this guy AH on Twitter says, let's be honest, the South Stand is finished. They ruined it by putting 1882 across the middle. Best place is now going to be Paxton Lower. If the right-minded can all come together, it can be made to be like the old White Hart Lane South Stand. What do you put it down to? Why the atmosphere yesterday was a bit subdued yesterday?
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
Is it the expensive ticket prices?
Could be, but I mean, it's the same. It's the same week in, week out. It really is.
Martin
apart from
says there was 7,000 empty seats yesterday.
Yeah, and you could see it visibly on the top of the west and the top of the east stand. There were loads of empty seats, and I was listening to Talk Sport. Someone called in and spoke about it, and they said those tickets up there cost £95.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
£95. I mean, where we were in the South Stand, £65.
Bad enough.
And that's bad enough. But to go up there for a group stage game against Frankfurt, I get it if it was against Barcelona, Real Madrid, one of these big teams, fine, £95. You'll pay the money to go see that game. But with the current climate, and everyone's struggling for money right now, you don't need to charge £95 for those seats.
Especially when they're so high.
Ridiculous.
When it's
just greed. All it is greed.
Those are those cheapest tickets. So why are they so expensive? Because it's on the halfway line. But it doesn't make sense to me.
It's absolute greed. But I thought that the atmosphere was shocking yesterday. It picked up once we got that equaliser. Fans started to sing. But I've been talking to you about the atmosphere at Spurs for a long time now. This is not a new thing that we're going through, and Spurs fans need to need to take a look at themselves, to be honest, because we all need to come together and we need to start acting as that 12th man, as Conte keeps saying that we need to be doing, and we're just not doing that at the moment. And Spurs just wait for us to go in the lead or get that equaliser before we start singing. But we need to start singing from the off, and maybe that will help us start games better.
I think a lot of it is to do with the prices that are being charged. It leads to an older demographic of fan who are less likely to have the energy to be chanting all the time and getting up and standing.
Spurs just have an older demographic of fan anyway.
Yeah, but it doesn't help when the price is that expensive. You can't expect younger fans to be able to afford £95 tickets, even £65 tickets. And also when you plonk the most expensive tickets, the 1882 seats, right in the centre of the South Stand, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get older fans sitting in the middle of the South Stand, not creating the atmosphere that we want in that South Stand. It's supposed to be a wall of sound. So I think the pricing structure at the moment is wrong at Tottenham. I think they need to take a look at that and to help improve the atmosphere. And that's, I think, the main cause as to why we're seeing more subdued atmospheres at the moment in home games. Obviously, it was brilliant when we played Arsenal, but other than that, recently it just hasn't been brilliant, and that's the best way I can think to change it, is to try and get younger fans in those areas.
But the thing is, it's not just home games. I'm noticing at away games as well. I mean, away games, £30 a ticket, you know what I mean, and we're still seeing like the away game demographic is still like kind of on the older side of things. When you're looking at teams like, I hate to say
loyalty points.
I get that, but it's not just loyalty points though, because 15-20% go to corporate now, and they're all a much older demographic, and they're not really the ones that are going to come and sing and stuff like that. So Spurs have ruined it a bit in that sense, where they favour giving tickets to the people that pay the most money. But when you're looking at, you know, I hate myself for saying it, but Arsenal fans are absolutely, you know, providing a great atmosphere at home and away.
It's because they're catering more to the younger fans
on a weekly basis, and you can see at Arsenal, like, it's a much younger demographic of fan. And I don't know what it is. Is it old Spurs fans just like trying to hold on to the glory days, trying to see a trophy before they stop going and stuff?
They're catering to the younger fans, Arsenal. That's what they're doing. You can see it with those people who wear black. I don't know what they're called, but
the Ashburton Army.
Yeah, they're catering to them. They're making sure that everyone's continuing the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is everyone's loud and stuff like that. Spurs aren't so interested in doing that. When they sell those seats, the 1882 right in the middle of the South Stand, they're selling. They're basically using the South Stand as, they're not concentrating on creating an atmosphere. They're more concentrated on selling the atmosphere as an experience to these older fans. It's like, come look at this atmosphere, but they're not actually concentrating on creating the atmosphere, and that's a big problem.
Yeah. Completely agree. And we said this when they did it right at the beginning, like, everyone's going about this wall of noise this wall of noise that, but if you're going to plump corporate right in the middle of the wall of noise, you're not going to get a wall of noise, and that's just the facts of the matter.
And I said it when I had a meeting with last year. We had a meeting with Donna Cullen, and I mentioned that to her, and the response I got was, because I said we should be concentrating on creating a better atmosphere, and the response I got was, the fans of 1882 are just as much fans of anyone else, basically.
But that's not the point, though.
And that's the response I got.
That's not the point.
Which I was disappointed with.
The point, that's completely not the point of the point you were trying to make. They could sit anywhere in the stadium. No one's saying they shouldn't be coming to games. Everyone's got a right to go to a game, but they shouldn't. Exactly. If you want to sit in corporate, go sit in the West Stand. Do you know what I mean? Go sit in the boxes in the East Stand. There's boxes all around the stadium. If you want to, we want to create an atmosphere here. We're not here to sell prawn sandwich brigade to the prawn sandwich brigade. You know what I mean? Week in, week out. It's so frustrating. We need to go and we need to create a proper atmosphere week in, week out, because it's getting kind of boring to sit in the stands at Spurs at the moment, because there's just no kind of party atmosphere. There's no constant singing, and it's very frustrating, not going to lie.
All right, I just thought I'd bring that up.
All right, but there you go. That is our match preview from the match review from the 3-2 win against Frankfurt. The group, our fate is in our own hands now. All we need to do is beat Sporting Lisbon in a couple of weeks' time, and we are through to the next round of the Champions League. But let's go and bring on some guests now, and let's see what they thought of the game yesterday. And is he there? Is Ashmatic there?
He's oh
no, he's there.
Back.
He's
come
there.
Back.
Just take this call. I need to. Let's bring on Ashmatic.
Guys, bring him on. Yeah, I can hear you, bro. How you doing? You all right?
Check. Yo.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Is there a problem? You can't hear me. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah,
Good, bro.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, all good. Were you at the game yesterday?
I can hear you.
Is there a bit of a delay? Is there a lag?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
One sec.
No, I didn't make the game. I didn't make the game yesterday.
I think there's a bit of a lag.
Whoa, I can't hear him again. Oh, damn it. Yo, can you
Do you
hear
mind?
me?
Do you mind?
Oh,
Okay,
man.
there's a bit of a lag.
Hold on,
Do you
2
mind
secs.
reconnecting and connecting again?
It's
Just
a
so
little
we
bit
can get
delayed
back
for some
on.
reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
He'll get
I
that
watched the
message
game
in
on
a sec.
TV.
One sec. One sec. We'll try and get it back, but just try and reconnect, Ashmatic. Disconnect and reconnect, and we'll try and get you back on if he gets that message. Is he going to get that message? Can you? Yeah. No, it's too delayed. It's too delayed. Disconnect and reconnect. All right, he'll come back. All right, let's bring on KPV, I guess, for now. It's time to have your say, guys. The link is in the community section for all members to come on and have your say on the game yesterday, or anything Spurs related you want to talk about. If you want to talk about the atmosphere, if you want to talk about the performances, you want to talk about Champions League. Is he back? Is he reconnected? Hello?
Way too delayed.
Is he back?
Why is it like this?
No, he can't hear me. Can you hear me? Oh, let's get KPV on. Kyle! Kyle? Is there a problem with Wirecast? No, it's a problem, Ben. There's a problem. There's a problem. It's like really delayed, like 20 seconds. I don't know. Get Carl off. Get Carl off. That's how he can't hear me. I don't know what's going on. Carl can't hear me either. We'll try and fix the problem, guys, but at the moment, for some reason, the guests can't hear us, or it's very delayed. We'll try and sort it out. Send in your comments, though, and put in the comments on what you thought of the game yesterday, or any comments or of the atmosphere, and I'll react to them live on the show. Russell Matthews says, when are we ever going to take Harry Kane off? The whole idea of Richarlison was to have a quality backup for Kane. There is validity to that, but Richarlison got injured yesterday, so you can't take Kane off when Richarlison's injured. I think Kane does need a rest, but the problem is he's so vital to our team. I think Conte is just very reluctant to take him off because he's so vital, and Conte can't really. Conte can't. He feels like he can't afford to take him off. Should we bring him on now? All right, Ashmatic, can you hear me? Still very delayed. He can't hear me. Hello? No. I'm not sure what's going on. We'll try and sort this out, guys. Apologies for the problems. Gonna try and should we create a new link, maybe?
Is this the same problem you were having yesterday?
Kind of. It was like about 10 seconds. It was fine.
Andrew Michael Cooper, do you think we have bad atmosphere? I think sometimes we do, although lately it has been great. I mean, yesterday was fairly disappointing. That was annoying. I think so. Look, when we play big games, I think it can be very good and very loud. But I think there needs to be steps taken to improve the atmosphere at the stadium, because we've got a lovely stadium with brilliant acoustics, and when it's loud, it's really loud. But it's just not consistently loud enough, in my opinion. Let me see what else people are saying. Givoni Williams says, Kane, Lloris, Dyer, Højbjerg need a rest. Remember, they even were on international duty. It's true. I mean, apart from maybe Dyer, they're not playing like they need a rest because they're playing very well at the moment. But maybe they could do with a game off, especially in the busy period we're having.
I've just reconnected it. Do you want to try again?
All right, we'll give it another go. Wait, can Ashmatic hear me? Put your thumb up if you can hear me, Ashmatic. All right, you can hear me. All right, Bruce, come on. You're
Yes,
right,
bro.
man. You're right. Yes.
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
We
Yeah.
can have a conversation now. Very happy.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah,
Just
not
get
sure what
nervous
was
there.
going on
Start to
there.
sweat.
I was getting very nervous. I wanted you on, mate. So you watching the game at home, you saying yesterday?
Yeah, I was watching at home. I didn't get to the game. I might get to Everton on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah,
But in terms of the game as a whole yesterday, what were your thoughts? Were you happy with the performance, or were the last 15 minutes did it really sour it for you, or were you okay with it in general?
Nah. Because at the end of the day, we made 5 changes, so it's like half the team's gone. So loads of the players were on bookings, so we had to switch it up. So I don't even look at the last 10 minutes, if I'm being honest.
So you think
I'll
you
look at the-
put it down? You put it down to the changes. Why we were a bit lackluster in those last 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, personnel formation change. It's a mixture of both. They kind of threw the kitchen sink at us, so they had to come onto us. And then it's a series of events that led to that second goal. I think didn't need to happen. Like Lloris pushing it out. I thought he could have seen it out. I don't think he had to push it out.
Was Conte not a bit too cautious, do you feel? Like after the red card, we're 3-1 up. They've gone down to 10 men, and all of a sudden our threat, which was actually quite a lot in the beginning of the second half, it completely disappeared.
Dangerous. Yeah. No, I do think he was slightly cautious, but it just goes to show now we've done the 3-4-3 and we've done the 3-5-2. So it's just showing fans that, yeah, you've done both, but by the looks of it, the 3-4-3 looks more suited at the moment. We look more dangerous on the transition and on the attack with the 3-4-3. That's what I thought coming into it.
Yeah, but like different games are going to provide different solutions, and maybe against Brighton, the 3-5-2 was the way to go. Yesterday, I always thought maybe the 3-4-3 was the way to go as well, with the way we played out in Germany with that formation. We really should have won that game. But talk to me about Heung-min Son yesterday, because I thought he was back to his best yesterday. Are you feeling the same way?
Yeah, I think with Son, I say everyone's a confidence player, but you could just tell from the minute the whistle was blown, I thought he was a lot more brighter. He had his sprints. He was running at players. He was running without the ball, running within the ball. And I think it's interesting with Kane, Son, and Richarlison. I realized that when Richarlison's on, unlike Kulusevski kind of pulls out wide, whereas Richarlison wants to be the top man, and he kind of plays a little bit closer to Kane. So when we scored that goal, when Emerson played the ball to Kane was quite high up, and he drew away 2 or 3 of the defenders, and so did Richarlison. So they occupied the 3 centre backs, pushed them over to one side. Kane dropped in and did the half turn as he normally does, and then Son kind of ran in from behind him, and then was one-on-one all of a sudden, because everyone was like, "Wow, where did that come from?" Yeah. Then he kind of just opened his body up. I love how he opens his body up, and he just slots it into the corner. I thought that was like, yeah, I said Son's confident, because the way he was able to, a bit like Haaland against Aston Villa, when he's in between the 2 centre backs and he kind of just opens his body up and then slots it away. I just saw Son do that, and I just said, yeah, no, Son's on it tonight. He's on it. And I thought there was a few chances that Son had. There was one where Sessegnon played him through and he took a shot and the keeper saved it. There was another chance where I thought Son could have had a penalty, got knocked over. So yeah, Son was I think Son's like a dynamic, agile, inside forward type of a player. And I think when Sessegnon plays with him, I feel like Sessegnon knows the spaces and runs into spaces to take away defenders. He acts like an inside wing back, and he pulls defenders away, and he helps to create that space for Son to run into. And so when Son gets that ball, like yesterday, he was devastating. I think that the link up between Højbjerg and Emerson where he looped it into Richarlison. You saw Sessegnon run inside again, and he take the defender away, and he created that space for Son just to shape his body and then hit it at full pelt. I felt the second half he was on it again. Second half he was running at players, and the defenders couldn't handle him. That's why they got sent off.
Yeah,
and I think it should have been two sending offs. I thought it should be two sending offs. Referee didn't really manage that one quite too well, but I just thought, yeah, Son was exceptional. But I thought Kane had a real good game as well.
Agreed.
I know, like Son's having all the headlines, but I like the way Kane drops in, and they just couldn't handle it. They knew what he was going to do, but he's so physical. And when he gets his first touch under, that second touch, he doesn't even need to look. You can put a blindfold on him and he will find Son. The only thing is, I would like Kane to give that much attention to Richarlison as well. I know Son makes those runs and they're devastating, but I just would like the other option where, you know, Kane can pull it into Richarlison and find them. But I thought that penalty that Kane created, that was like the old Kane when he's running at players. I was like, oh my days, Kane's running at players. This reminded me of Chelsea when Kane just picks up the ball from deep and he starts running at man. I was like,
absolutely,
what?
yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah,
I was gassed. I'm not gonna lie. So that,
feel like
when I
I
saw that
Kane
side
in a
of his
while,
game, yeah, when I saw that side of his game, it just reminded me like Kane he's got that in his locker. Like in the first leg, he was doing the half turn and he was shooting outside the box when Son was running on the inside, creating space for him, opening up space for him to shoot from outside the box. But it's just like you just get to see how versatile, how much of a hybrid striker Kane is, because it's not only just the dropping in and the playmaking he does, but his ability to kind of get in and beyond players to run at them and pick shots off. Like his intelligence is amazing. I thought it worked well.
When you mention, you know, you'd like to see Kane feed Richarlison more, or you'll have a bit of link-up play with Richarlison, I'm sure that will come once they get used to their games a bit more, once they play with each other a bit more. Another player I want to talk to you about is Brian Hill, because he came on, won that penalty really well yesterday. The guy's obviously got immense talent. Do you think that he's got it in his locker to be a success at Spurs?
No, I think, like, I watched them Europa League. It was him and Sessegnon, and they was linking up crazy. This is last season under Nuno, and Brian Hill played like a 10. When Brian Hill plays inside, he's just dangerous. He's a menace. When he's too far wide, I don't feel like you get the best of him. Like because his ball control is so close to his body, like he can manipulate the ball inside, outside. And when I saw him as like, he's not a 10, but I'm just saying when he plays in that kind of hole, in that pocket of space, he can create so much. And he's got so much energy. Like with Lucas has the same type of energy, but I think his decision-making lets him down. Whereas I think Brian Hill's final ball lets him down at the moment. Because a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, he needs to bulk up a bit, he needs a bit more physicality. I just saw him on that ball yesterday. I just saw him run at that defender, he couldn't handle him. Literally. And I just feel like you throw him on a few games, because I think with all players, they just need that confidence. Because look at Son. Son had a few games and it just wasn't happening for him. And then all of a sudden, Son exploded. And I think like players like Brian Hill, I feel like your players like, even down to your Spencers, like, Sessegnon's got so much chances, but Spencer's got none. I just feel like even if it was a cameo 5 or 10 minutes, just like how Brian Hill got, I think that would help the development of their game, like of their players. I think Poch used to do it all the time. He used to give the young players chances week in, week out, and just trust them and say, look, have the ball, do what you do best. As long as you're defensively disciplined and you get back and you're in your shape, I've got no problem with players like Brian Hill coming on. I think he can be a real star, but I just need to see that end product from him. I know Kane took an extra touch, he took too long, and he could have, because that could have been Brian Hill's first goal of the season or first goal for Spurs. But I just felt like when he got, even that game when he came on, his last game he came on, he was just so much energy. He just wanted to get on the ball. He wanted to make it happen. We just need players like that want to fight for the badge and just have that energy, because that helps to push other players on. That gives energy, especially like when it's the last, like you said, 15, 20 minutes. and it almost looked like we were getting a bit too defensive. But then he threw on Brian Hill and Lucas, two very attacking players, and it just kind of gave us that threat before, like when we played Arsenal, and we literally shut up shop. We had nothing else to kind of. We had no outlet, no pace in and behind to cause the centre backs any problems or ask questions. You want your players to ask questions, and I feel when Brian Hill has the ball, when he's got the ball at his feet, he's asking a lot of questions at defenses. So yeah, I definitely would like to see him in the future.
You mentioned Sessegnon. He's got his second start in a row yesterday, and obviously played well. Do you think he's got the shirt at the moment? Is Conte picking him because he believes he's our number one left wing back, or is it just maybe wanted to give Perisic a rest? And another question as well, just before you answer that as well. Son had another very good game with Sessegnon, and there's been question marks whether Perisic is hurting Son when he's on the pitch. So I want you to get your opinion on those two things.
Okay, I think first of all, Sessegnon's form at the moment is making Conte. He's making Conte make a decision, because Son right now, he got man of the match last game. Whether you agree with it or not, he had a good game. So on the basis of that form, he has to play this game, if that makes sense. He's the younger player, he's in form. You're trying to give player confidence, and I just think he's doing what Conte wants. I think with the wing backs, one wing back feeds the ball into the box and the other wing back arrives at the back post. And I think Sessegnon's doing that. I saw it with Doherty. Doherty, another player, he kind of arrives inside. He's like an inside wing forward. He doesn't always, he might start out wide, but his end way he finishes on the inside of the box. So that's why I call him like an inside wing forward. They always end up at the back of the post, and I've seen that a lot. I did see it with Perisic. Perisic had a chance, and he came in the back post. But I just feel like where Sessegnon's getting it right, he even had a chance to put it in. Like, I don't think that chance that he had where the ball came across and he like the keeper saved it. There was not much he could do because the defender was closing on him, and he took his chance. But it's just that it was a bit tight, and the timing of it just didn't go in for him. But I just thought, like, typical of his game. I thought he was doing lots of good runs inside the pitch, inside the box, taking away also defenders as he does those runs. But I just think like I think Conte is just going for him because he's in form at the moment. And I think like we will use Perisic maybe in bigger games. I think maybe like your Man United's, possibly Newcastle, you might see Perisic again. But I just feel like Cesc is on form at the moment, and he's just doing everything Conte says. And I think, like I said before, the wing backs are imperative to his system, just like the centre backs are as well. So creating those overloads, there's always space as well. When Emerson's got the ball, Sessegnon's always free, always, because the team has to push over to the right hand side where Emerson's occupying, because Emerson always links up with Romero to get out of the to beat the press. So they play out from the back, and as they're doing it, the other team's pressing. So Frankfurt's pressing us. That creates an overload on the right hand side, on their left, but on our left, on their right, Sessegnon has bags of space all the time, and vice versa. When it's the opposite way around, Emerson has bags of space. The only difference with Emerson is that he doesn't have confidence in his ability when he's final third, and his decision making isn't as good as Sessegnon's. Sessegnon's a better decision maker than Emerson. Emerson gets the ball and he will want to come inside and pass, or sometimes he will delay a cross when he should be playing it in first time. And that's Emerson's biggest downfall at the moment. And that's why the fans are getting so frustrated with Emerson Royale, saying he's no good. Although, like I said, Emerson did play that strong ball into Kane, that Kane fed into Son, and then Emerson was involved with the link up between Højbjerg to create that cross into Son that finished that goal off. So I'm not saying he does everything wrong. Like clearly he's been coached well, but when it just comes to that next level, you could just see why like a player like Sessegnon's getting the starts and getting the nods slightly over Perisic. I just feel like to answer your question, sorry about the Son running inside and out. I forgot to answer that. I just feel that because I think Perisic is slightly more of a winger. I think instinctively sometimes they make the same runs. I think that's what's happening at the moment, and I think Sessegnon's seeing the space and he's doing a lot more, and he's dribbling with the ball. He's coming inside because I noticed when he comes inside, normally, like I haven't seen it with Longley so much, but I did see it with Davies. Davies would create the overload on the other side, and he would create a 2v1 situation. And then sometimes Sessegnon would do that with Son, and Son would link up on the left side, and then they would create a 2v1 situation, if that makes sense. So you got a 2-1 overload through the wing back system, and Kulusevski used to do it well with either Doherty or Emerson. They create like 2-1 overloads, and then sometimes Romero would come out. You saw in the second half of Romero pushed up and went bang, like he's one of our players that presses and goes bang and wings the ball up for us high up. Sometimes he would create the 2v1 overloads, and that's why the three centre backs are so crucial to the wing backs, and that helps the front three as well. They all kind of intertwine. Yeah.
All right, Ashmatic. Always great to chat to you, especially after 3 points like that yesterday. But hopefully speak to you soon, my friend.
Yes, my brother. Take care, man. Blessings.
And to you, mate.
Nice one.
Bye-bye. Up the Spurs. A few super chats here. First one, a members chat from Azad Hamid, and he says, do you think the style of football is helping the atmosphere? Let's be honest, we are boring. But that's not the point, right? That's not the point. When I used to go to football, when I started going to the football, Spurs were not a good side, but the fans would always be singing from minute 1 to minute 90. The fans is not... We shouldn't react to singing when the players are playing well. We should be singing to get the players playing well. And as a fan, we've got a job to do, and the job to do is to support the team on the pitch, no matter how they're playing. Even if they're playing bad, you know, we need to come together and try support them to will them on to play well. And I hate this attitude saying, oh, well, the team's playing crap, so I'm not going to sing. I hate that attitude so much. So I completely disagree with that. And Arpav Kumar with the super chat, he says, Kane, I love you, man, but please allow others to take free kicks. And there was another one, wasn't there, yesterday in the first half, where you probably thought it was a better angle for Sonny to take it, but Kane waved him away, took the free kick, and ultimately it went over the bar. Yeah,
I was absolutely... Why is Kane still on the free kick? So annoying. Just as Son had one on target, didn't get another opportunity. Dyer had one as well, which had a deflection. But yeah, Kane just shouldn't be on free kicks. We're like a broken record. Yeah, absolutely. But let's move on to our next guests, and a guy that was also at the game last night, and he goes by the name of KPV. How you doing, Carl? Shame we didn't get to see you yesterday, but how are you? He's on mute.
No, I'm here, lad.
I can hear you now, mate.
You can hear me? Yeah. I blame my care for not letting me see you, because I was in the north stand. That's not where I normally am, but normally I'm in the east. Yeah, where were you to start with?
Yeah, I was messaging you. You were in the north, we were in the east, and then we were in the south, and you were in the north, so we just couldn't get it together, could we?
Well, hopefully we'll do it a sporting game, because I'm definitely going to go. So probably Ben's going to go, Tim's going to do the watch-along.
I see you're putting our schedule together, are you guys?
It's what you two normally do. What, like Ben done a watch along for the Liverpool game, and you went to the game last season, Tim. So yeah, that's what you normally do. Yeah, I remember it. So, but yeah, shame. But Son's second goal was out of this world.
Absolutely,
yeah, brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah. And why is Højbjerg not getting the respect he deserves? People are still talking about Granit Xhaka and that bullshit. Højbjerg should get the respect he deserves. He's been having a outstanding season. Only Granit Xhaka again the talk. Seriously, Højbjerg is more better than him. Like Højbjerg has not had a red card since it was for Southampton against City, but Granit Xhaka's had more red cards than any other player, and he's still getting talked about than Højbjerg. Seriously, Premier
Who's your
League.
who was your man of the match, Kyle?
Ronaldo.
Sonaldo.
Yeah, I mean, he really looked back to his old self yesterday, didn't he, Sonny?
Yeah, because I've got him on the back of the shirt.
Oh, that's
Ronaldo.
why. It's all your fault, Kyle. Big up.
Shut up. Shut up. Like,
It's a good
you
thing,
watch,
Carl.
Shut up.
he's going to do that again on Saturday against Everton. You watch. Another worldie, because he only scores bangers or worldies, whatever you want to call them. Same thing, but he's back. That's 5 in all competitions, 9 for Kane. So that duo has now got 50 combinations, not 43, boys. 50. There's no way Haaland and De Bruyne are breaking that, I'm afraid, because I'm afraid I've got some bad news for De Bruyne and Haaland. So they ain't breaking that. No chance. So, and the good thing is, those 2 Lisbon players won't be playing against us on the 26th. So if we win and Marseille win, we go through. So
I think if we win, we go through regardless.
then if we can beat Marseille, we win the group. That's what standard saying. Like, if we can beat Marseille, we win the group.
Yeah.
That's what. But it doesn't matter if we lose, because we would have still qualified if we beat Marseille as well. So 2 wins. So let's get the job done Saturday, and then we got Man United and Sporting. So, and then, yeah, I'm excited for next month because the World Cup begins.
Damn right.
All right, Carl. Always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. Thanks for coming on, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and I'll hopefully see you at the Sporting game, because I'm not going to be in the North Stand. Less of that. And it's not called Champions League. It's called Champagnes League, as Expressions tweeted out. So it's Champagnes League. I ate the hot dogs. Ronaldo turned them into sausages, fam. Just no.
See you later, Carl. Big up.
Carl.
Yeah, man.
Always a pleasure having KPV on the channel, but let's keep going. We've got some more guests to speak to, and let's bring on the Joricle. Jory, how's it going, my friend?
Is he on mute? Oh no,
we got you. We can hear you, Jory. We can hear you. What do you make out of the...
It's impossible to follow an act like that, you know. Carl, pick up.
You'll do your best, Jory. I know you will. But what did you make out of the game yesterday?
So yeah, mixed bag, like you've already touched on. I think overall a lot of good stuff. I definitely agree with you guys. Sonny is completely back in my view. There is some there's some disruption in the front line. I don't know if it's because of the Richarlison, the new guy, whatever. But even though Son and Kane can find each other, I feel like Kane also is overthinking things, which is very un-Kane like. Like yesterday, actually, I knew he was going to miss the second penalty because
Grandpa said that as well, you know.
Yeah, because now the secret's out, you know, with Mourinho's, you know, it seemed like a nice compliment that he was paying Kane, but actually he let the secret out, you know, which is that Kane selects his area and practices all week that, you know. So when he had to go, he for some reason, he should have gone for the same area. I mean, but now he probably feels like he can't do the same twice because everybody knows it in football now. So that didn't surprise me, but I also felt like the passes, the timing of the passes, and just in general, Kane seems to be less instinctual, kind of like Sonny was struggling with as well. But in Kane's way, Kane doesn't get this eager and kind of desperate like we see Sonny get sometimes. It's different with him, you know. But there's you know, putting the front three a little bit off. I still feel like there's more to come there for sure.
To be fair though, Jory, with Harry Kane, I mean, he slots that ball in really nice for Heung-min Son to score our opener. He played. I thought Kane had a really strong game yesterday, and I thought he was.
I was happy with Kane. I was happy with Kane. It's just like you're still seeing him, hook some of his passes. You're still seeing him hang on to the ball a little bit too long, like stuff that Kane normally never does.
Yeah.
When
you saw that in the latter stages of the game, didn't you?
Exactly. And like that whole thing there, I mean, I saw right away that Dyer was not going to have a good game. And to be honest, guys, I'm at a point where I'm really, we're jeopardizing a lot by hanging on to Dyer and Lloris in key spots, because they are showing again and again that once they get into some situations where they've been into many times before and failed, and maybe even Kane has a touch of that as well, they buckle, and that puts then a lot of unease into the whole group, and that was what we saw, Lloris, my main concern with him is not that he doesn't get off the line, that he doesn't play well out, and what all of this, which are definitely sacrifices we have to make to get his world-class shot stopping. But my main worry is that he lacks the confidence going into these key moments that we need to overcome now, And maybe, I'm open to the possibility that all of the previous players, including our superstars, might be we might not get over that threshold with them. The so-called Spursiness is so deeply inside. I don't think that. I still think the front two are gonna definitely get over it, and especially I think like it's the least a factor with Sonny, to be honest. But I'm absolutely kind of convinced now that Lloris is only going to go down in confidence from now on. He's got a bit of like old man's confidence, where you've been a star, you've been doing your game, and now you're on your downward slope and you lose confidence at a higher rate than your actual ability, and that's kind of what I fear and seem to see in Lloris. So, and also with Dyer, we can't have him, like we need to get another leader of the back line ASAP, because we're jeopardizing everything with it, and even if we want to stick up for these guys, it also comes down to, is Conte going to hang around for that? Is Kane going to hang around, and then Sonny, the whole caboodle, But apart from that, it was a very good game, and I would also want to, say to our fans out there that are complaining about the boring football and stuff like that, I'm convinced that most of all, this boring football is a substitute for losing football. Mm-hmm. These are the games that we would be losing. Now, I would take boring football over losing football any day. Now, the games that we would be winning in the old system, we're now going to see really, really gorgeous football. I like gorgeous Conte football. I do believe that. And we did see that towards the end of the season, and Man City game and stuff like that. Nobody's going to, like, the person that's going to tell me that football is boring football, like, I have no regard for your opinion, whether you're Spurs, whatever. I'm not listening to it. I do agree with this kind of stuff can be boring that we're witnessing now, but that's because we're now relying on system and drilling consistency and stuff like that to get us through stuff that we didn't get through in earlier years, So we should be happy with that.
Yeah. In terms of yesterday, you say it was a good performance, which I agree with, and I think was definitely back on the right track. But was the performance mired by those last 15 minutes and the fact that we nearly cost ourselves, or do you still take more of the positive of the overall performance from yesterday?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's positive. And each time such a moment happens and we get away with it, and even if we don't get away with it, each time these moments happens, it's something that for Conte and his staff to grab a hold of and go over and work with the players. I don't know if we have any sporting psychologists in the club, but we should definitely be working a lot with these legacy players on that front. Because, and I don't blame them. I'm not like trying to put them down or anything. You can imagine if you've gone through into all these crucial Champions League moments and it's fallen apart. If you've gone into the derby at the Emirates and never have had a win and so on, it's like it becomes almost your DNA. It's really hard to shake, and you revert to old behavior. So we really should be working with them in that regard. But apart from that, I feel like all the new additions, and like for me especially seeing Bentancur and Højbjerg now, they are quickly becoming the best two in the league in my view.
Wow, it's high praise, Jory.
Yeah, no, I really think like they have a lot more work to do than most of them. They constantly, if they're not covering our back line, we're in trouble. And I feel a lot of other good teams in midfield, they don't need to do the same amount of work in that regard as these guys have to do. The way that the Højbjerg and Bentancur are now starting to understand each other, and all these vertical passes that we're not doing through the lines is something new, and really, it's really going to unlock our front three once it's perfected, and we're getting there, So I'm encouraged by a lot of stuff, but we're still in that non-clicking. But we're getting closer every match, I feel.
Yeah, we're starting to click a bit more, aren't we? Which is very positive.
How are you feeling about Brian Hill, Jory? I'm asking everyone because I just really liked his performance when he came on yesterday. Do you think he can be an asset for us this season?
For sure. And like I've always been convinced that Brian Hill is a superstar in the making. I've not been convinced if the Premier League can be his. I was always hoping that, but after seeing how easily sometimes he stepped out of the ball, it's definitely a problem. And you kind of touched on it. I was actually thinking about it. It's so good to see his energy, and his on the ball skills are really next level in my view. But I also think the way the trying too hard that you were mentioning there, I think also it's a part of his defense really to try and because if he becomes a straightforward target to close down for the defenders, then they're going to step him out. So he really has to be like a little beat simply for the defenders to be on their heels, not to get a line on him, and I thought he did a brilliant job considering how little time he got and the fighting spirit he brought in. And I think like the cross that Kane gave him, I think he would always put that in if Kane had given him a decent cross, So I thought the cross was way too hard for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is stuff that it's going to be fine. If he gets the minutes, he's going to deliver that. The only question is he going to be a liability in terms of our front pressing or our first line of defense? I've seen the games I've seen. I think he's all right defensively as well. So really, my only reservation is, can he find a technique to avoid these defenders taking a line on him and simply just stepping him out, just muscling him off the ball, and if somebody can work with him, if this is, I also kind of think keeping this level of intensity up for 90 minutes is not viable, maybe, but maybe it's developing something. At least I would call on Conte to definitely work with him, and I would call on Gil to just keep hanging in there, because as a fan, I love what I see. I think he's supposed to be a star. If it's going to be our club, our league, I don't know, but he should be a star. I think.
All right.
So I was very encouraged seeing that, and also I gotta give you a big up here, guys. I think it's great for you to talk about the fan situation, because I was kind of watching it and I was kind of like, is it am I just getting unlucky with the sound? Sometimes, the wind or whatever, kind of tones down whatever is going on in the park, but I kind of knew it wasn't, because I could hear plenty from the Frankfurt fans, and I found it disgraceful that they could, be the tone setters in a home stadium, and I totally agree. I do think, like, just in general, guys, we really, really need to fight this popcorn culture that everybody is trying to bring into football in general, and
Yeah,
especially the Premier
absolutely.
League. And Levy is buddying up to all the American side of it, So I'm happy that I can go with Jonas to the game and stuff like that. But I would be fine with having to choose my stand and know not to go into the crazy end of the South End and so on with a kid and so on. Like, is that what we want? Do we want to see, Boca Juniors River Plate as a family-friendly consumer fest, or do we want
You
the
want to make
action?
it an intimidating atmosphere for other fans to come.
Exactly. Do we want it to be a warrior fight between a group of men against another group of men without anybody actually getting hurt? That's what it's supposed to be. If you're a soccer mom, or your 60-year-old corporate guy, I'm not including myself there, is intimidated by that atmosphere, then so be it. This is not like I'm out of football if it's going to be this NBA blah. This is not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a bit of a crazy situation. It's supposed to be a row. It's supposed to be lads singing together, coming together, and singing against another team. And I feel like it's getting worse and worse. I don't know. Maybe I'm over analyzing, but
No, you're
hearing you
not.
guys,
You're not. It's the same,
no,
man.
yeah.
Feeling. I've been feeling like this for a long time, and it's just been like getting worse and worse. I completely agree.
And not that not that it's still our home ground and all of that, but and this is why, like, when I come on and I'm the most upset, it's usually at the start of some kind of development that I really don't like. Like when I called out Sonny for his performance at the start of the season, when I called out Levy last December because I saw he was playing around with the wording of stuff, and and he wasn't going to back him, although we did get two amazing players there, but that's Paratici, then nothing to do with Levy. But anyway, so usually that's when I really get disappointed, is at the start of a curve, seeing some bad development, because that's where I feel we have the chance to nip it in the bud and evade this bad trend, and you have the start. I really think, guys, we need to get the Levy out train going in some way. We need to basically also, and I think your channel and a lot, I'm seeing it more and more on social media. I think we really need to confront our own fan base, because that is really, for my part, the root of the whole problem. I don't think operators like Levy can get this much freedom as they do without this really, like, I don't know. I feel like it's difficult to know about other clubs, but I feel our club has the biggest kind of weak, like what you would call a weekend warriors, this kind of fan that kind of chimes in when the going's good but then drops out completely, like these kind of in and out and not really following the club fully. I feel like we've got more of these fans having an effect and being vocal than any other club. I don't know. Am I wrong about that?
It's a difficult one because I think the demographic of the Spurs fan base is a fairly old demographic when you compare it to maybe the likes of Arsenal or stuff like that. And when you're looking at this demographic, these kind of fans, they lived through going week in, week out in the 2000s, in the 90s, when Spurs were like fighting relegation and being really crap. And the way they compare it is that you're looking at Spurs now when we're making Champions League more or less regularly. What was it, 4 times in the last 6 years, something like that. And yeah, maybe the football might not be good, but I think a lot of fans are happy with where we are right now, where when they were going to football regularly back then in the 90s, in the 2000s, I mean, it's worlds away. And maybe they look at it and say, well, when Daniel Levy took over Spurs were fighting relegation, with fighting at the wrong end of the table, mid-table mediocrity, nowhere near, title challenges or Champions League football or stuff like that. So when you're looking at the younger demographic of fan and they've grown up in the Pochettino years and stuff like that, then they're looking at this football and they're looking at the way this club's going and being like, all right, it's not good enough. But I think when you're looking at the older demographic and there were more of them, by the way, growing up in that kind of time, they're thinking, all right, this ain't too bad. So it's a difficult situation.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think you're probably onto to maybe a big part of it is exactly, and who are we to say? I mean, even though I'm old enough and I remember all kinds but I was never as involved in the community and I never went to the games and so on. But who are we to say that what we have now is worse than what they had then, But that's not what the discussion should be about. It should be about what kept that club alive when all of that shit was going on was the fan love and fan intensity and the fan community, So we don't on the corporate side at the expense of the fan love and the fan community and the fan cohesion. I feel like we have less fan cohesion than most clubs. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's kind of how I feel, at least. I don't know. Do you feel like that? I mean, you've got English friends and stuff like that. Do they have similar problems in Liverpool or like even
I think
United?
there are. Yeah, it's more of a Premier League, definitely in the Premier League with.
Yeah,
I think a lot to do with like the prices of tickets. Is obviously goes to more corporate and more older fans, and they're less likely to create an atmosphere, and that's causing problems up and down the Premier League when it comes to atmosphere. It's not really as good as it used to be, but I guess it's a hard problem to solve unless the prices start coming down and you're allowing more younger fans to come.
Yeah, and I can tell you what the corporate side of it is, the way they look at it. They look at it. Oh, we'll keep entertaining these legacy fans until the culture has changed enough that it's just one big consumer show, and then we don't really want the legacy fans around anymore.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, they're Spurs. Enoch, Daniel Levy, they're not interested in keeping these older fans on board. They don't make enough money for them. They're not the fans that are going to, breed new life into the club. They're not the fans that are going to sit there and order 10 popcorns and buy pizza and take it into the ground. You know what I mean? They just want to have a beer, support the team and go home. So Spurs are not really interested in keeping those kind of fans.
No, and also it's not even that they're not even interested in keeping them. They actually want them out of the game. We're the problem for them in many things they want to do. Say like a Super League, or say like a All-Star game, say like, all of these terrible American disgusting ideas that we're getting, and I don't know. But the thing is, right now at this moment, Ben and Sim, we are the brand. So at this moment, we can actually affect this development, and it's not the corporate boxes that are providing the brand of the club. It's the love and intensity of the South Stand and fans like that provide the guile that makes a player want to join the club, the thing that excites Jonas when he's watching the game and so on. That's you guys. That's not that, and that's still there. So you actually have now a mandate to affect the development on things. I know it's not easy, especially when we can't come together about anything. But I do take my hats off to the conversation that you're bringing up here, Ben, because it's an important one. So, yeah.
Big up, Jory. Thanks for coming on as always, my friend, and we'll see you next time.
Great show. Take care, guys.
See you, Jory.
Bye-bye, Jory. But let's keep going. Well, we've actually got a super chat here from La Funkery, and he says, why didn't Kane put that ball into Gill sooner? And that's exactly right. He kept delaying that pass.
I think he was tired. His decision-making got a bit poorer as you saw with the penalty. It was a tired penalty, and I think that's what I'll put it down to, just a fatigue, tiredness of the mind and the body.
All right, but let's bring on our next guest. Let's hope he doesn't have dial-up internet this time, but let's bring him on and see. Stel, see him moving in slow motion there. How you doing, Stel? You all right? You're not going to come on and do your German impression again, are you?
I don't know what I was doing last night. I had no idea why I did that. I literally, stupid idea. That was a really stupid idea, but yeah, anyway. No German impressions, I promise.
Before we get into the game, I see you calling me out in the chat. You want to have a discussion? Yeah. I mean, for me, like, Jory hit the nail on the head with what he said. Honestly, spot on to you, Jory. Our fans are an issue when it comes to accountability of what goes on in the club. And I said it last year, and I got completely annihilated by so many fans who I didn't even know for my comments. Probably my comments were a little bit too harsh in hindsight, but the point I was trying to make, and I stick to it, our fans, when times are good, we want to give it, we want to celebrate, we want to support. But when things aren't going well, we don't point the finger at where it should be pointed to. And we go hiding, we don't want to protest, we don't want to boycott, we don't want to take action. And I look at the other big clubs in recent history, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, those clubs, when things aren't going right, they protest, they come out in numbers. And do you know what that says to me? They care about success being trophies, success being winning. Whereas us, well, as long as we get top four, as long as the new Nike kit is popular, and that is just unacceptable from a fan base that was never like this. We were never like this as a fan base. I remember in the 90s, the protests against sugar, which we were incorrect to do so in hindsight. But the fact is, we came out in numbers. We just, I don't know what's happened to our fan base, guys. I just feel there's this middle ground of fans who are just so obsessed with constantly saying everything is great. Don't ever criticize the club. Don't ever point out the failings. Just accept it. This is what we are. There's always an excuse. And I just think that middle ground is the problem. I've got no issue if you're really Enoch in, Levy in, and you want to defend it. I'm fine with that, because at least you've got a position and you'll back it. And I've got no issue with anyone who's Levy out, Enoch out, because at least you've got your position, you hold it. But that middle ground that does nothing, that is the area of Tottenham as a fan base that really lets the whole club down. And I guarantee you guys, I'll get a backlash off of this conversation with you now. But it's just because I say it as I see it. We have a reluctancy to take any form of action other than to sack managers. And that's the solution to everything. Sack the manager, sack the manager, sack the manager. Regardless of your views on the club, if they're going well, they're going bad, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, What is it about the fan base that for a while now the atmosphere has just been waning, and I don't know, away games it's like this, home games it's like this. Why can't we get fans to sing?
The truth is, unless you're a complete underdog and you're punching above your weight, so let's say Burnley were in a top 6 battle, or let's say Watford were in the hunt for top 4, the atmosphere is going to be electric because they're playing for something they've never experienced before. With us, we've been to finals, we've been to semi-finals, we've been to Champions League final, we've been in Champions League many times now. What is there for us to get excited about now, other than winning a trophy? And when you go to the matches and it's not good to watch, it's very difficult. It's very difficult as a fan to get behind that. Like, Arsenal fans, they're fantastic this season. Why? Look at the football they're playing. They're excited. They look at that football and they think, we can beat anyone. We can take on anyone. And that excites us because we haven't had that in about 7-8 years. For us, when you watch Tottenham play, you don't think we can beat anyone. You think we'll probably get the job done because we've got Conte and he'll set us up to somehow get a result. But deep down in your soul, when you're sitting there, the football's not great. And you're looking at the players and you're thinking, how can I possibly get excited when Emerson Royale is on the pitch? When Ryan Sessegnon is this overhyped, one day he'll come good, but it'll never happen at Spurs, is on the pitch. When I've got Eric Dyer, who can't take a decent first touch in the penalty box when the pressure comes on. When you see these players week in, week out, how do you get excited? When we had Vertonghen and Dele Alli and Dembele, it's exciting. It was exciting because we knew they were good players.
We're top of our Champions League group. We're third in the Premier League, 6 wins in 9 games, drawing 2, only losing 1. Like, is that? Are we not being? Are we not saying by the fans not being excited by that? Is that not being a bit spoiled?
Okay, I think there's 2 separate issues here. Where we are in the league and being top of the Champions League, you cannot knock the results. Every single show I go on, every single stream, every podcast, I defend Conte, and I will back Conte to the high heels because he's getting the results. And if you don't want results, then what's the point? If you just want to be entertained, go and watch a team that just plays good football then. Just go and support them because that's all you want, just good football. I think we want both, but it's going to take time to get both until we get good enough players in or until we keep a manager in place for long enough to build that stock. Took Arteta 3 years. Let's just remember that. Conte's been here 11 months. So I think in terms of results and where we are, yeah, it's great. But the reason it doesn't feel exciting, Sim, is because we don't really believe anything's going to come of it. I don't think any of us really deep down as Spurs fans think we're going to win the Champions League. I know anything's possible and never say never. But the reality is, when you look at this team, I will be gobsmacked if we won the Champions League. I'll be gobsmacked if we don't go out in the first or second knockout group stage games. I really would, because I don't think the squad's good enough for it. I hope we go all the way, because it'll be amazing. So I think because we don't believe it. We don't believe it's going to happen with this lot. The excitement's kind of taken away a bit. Likewise with the league. We think we should get top 4. We probably will just do it. But we all know deep down, for us to win the league, it's not really going to happen. And it's just, we've been here before. It's the same old. There's nothing new. We're used to it. We haven't gone to that next level. And we don't look like we're going to go to that next level at the moment. If we went and signed Milinkovic-Savic, Bastoni, Dumfries, Maddison, suddenly you'll see a very, very different atmosphere at this club because the belief will come. But right now, when you look at these players, do you two really believe, guys, that we're going to do anything major this year?
I think the belief of what we think we can do is irrelevant in my opinion. I think that the fans should be supporting the team, especially now when you can see the holes in the squad at right back, at centre back, an attacking midfielder short. The fans should be acting as that 12th man, and the more the fans sing, the more likely it is that Spurs will start playing a bit better football and start winning more. We're winning good amounts of games, but with Conte at the helm, the fans should be completely behind anything he's trying to do, and we should be acting like that from the stands and really singing and backing the team for the whole game. I don't I think that the way we're playing our football, or the way you think we're going to be at the end of the season, should be irrelevant to the way the fans sing. I really believe that.
Listen, I don't disagree with you. I agree. We should always back the team. We should always sing. But it's very, very difficult, Sim, when there isn't inspiration, when there isn't belief, when there isn't entertainment. It's almost like saying, Stel, you're in a nightclub. You should always dance, even if there's no music. Well, I kind of need a bit of music, right? Tottenham is like a nightclub without the music at the moment. Does that make sense?
Yes and no, because it makes sense in what you're saying. I get the logic behind it, but when I got into football, Spurs were playing dog shit football in a dog shit team, but the atmosphere was always brilliant. And I don't understand why it's not that anymore. And we're in a much better team now, with a much better manager, with world-class players in it. So I don't understand why the atmosphere is just getting worse and worse.
Back then, Sim, in those days, it was more cultural. Sorry, Ben, beg your pardon. It was more cultural. It was more... the atmosphere was naturally better because of terraces. And also, you didn't have these oligarchs. Anyone could win the FA Cup back then. Anyone could win the League Cup. Now, you pretty much know there's only 3 or 4 teams that are going to win the trophies. Maybe every 10 years there's a surprise, like a Leicester, a Birmingham City. There's a random. Now it's become so... What's the word? When it's just... it's, you know what's going to happen. It's so inevitable. It's so inevitable now that unless you see something that's not inevitable from your team, it's hard to think any different. Football's changed. The sad thing is, guys, money rules. And how you use that money. There's no way Arsenal will be top of the league without that £400 million spent on Arteta. No chance. I'm not having it. Now, we need to spend big. We need to bring in top players that suit Conte's system. Wherever we sign, let's say, an Odegaard, and we think, oh, who is he? We've never heard of him. It doesn't matter if it works for Conte's system. That's all we should think about. But we need to spend the money, and then Conte will deliver for us. So we're in that transitional phase where, are we going to invest? Are we going to build something successful for once? Is Conte going to stay? Hasn't signed that contract. How does that affect Harry Kane? You know, you're not looking at it and saying, I can see a plan. I can see a pathway. I can see commitment from the manager. I can see commitment from the strike. We're in that phase of where it really is on the board now. The board will decide the outcome of this journey we're on. If they back this manager, Kane signs a new contract, top players come to Spurs, Conte begins to really go for something special. But we're not there yet, and we're all in a bit of limbo. Don't you just feel a little bit uncertain as a Spurs fan at the moment? Don't you feel a little bit unsure of what's going to happen next with us, in the sense of it's just we've been here before. We've been here before.
I get that. We are, but at the end of the day, things at the moment, results-wise anyway, are going well. So shouldn't we go into every game? So shouldn't we go into every game excited that can we keep this going? Isn't there a sense of excitement there?
Look, absolutely. And that's why I've defended Conte all the time. And I've said, look, back the manager, hashtag back Conte. It's the number one used hashtag I have on everything I do. Hashtag back Conte. Even if I'm talking about ice cream, hashtag back Conte. Even if I'm about to go on holiday, hashtag back Conte. I just put it everywhere. I just think there's a significant section of fans who are bored of the football and it's putting them off. And I've had these arguments on streams. I had one last night. I had one the night before. And there's always fans that are just, they don't like the football. And I don't think they actually want Conte here because of it. If I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think they want Conte here because of the style of football. But they haven't come out and said that. But it feels like that to me. But I don't want to say that they have said that because they haven't. But it feels that way. Conte's not going to change his style for us. Mm-hmm. Why should we expect the manager, who's a proven winner, to change for us? We as a club should change for him. That's the whole point of bringing him in. So, but fans aren't going to do that, Ben and Sim. They're simply not going to do that. They're sick of the football. They don't like it. They just think it's crap. It's too defensive. It doesn't have any creativity. And that they absolutely despise Emerson starting every game. They resent the fact that Conte starts him every game. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about large sections of the fans. That's the feedback I'm hearing. That's what I hear and see from them. But that's what happens, isn't it? You can't go 22 years of not winning trophies and then suddenly expect fans to be patient. The patience has worn out. There's no patience left in the tank with a lot of fans. They want beautiful football now. They want trophies now. And they want this whole project, this dream that's been sold to us, to show the end product. And I think it's just down to patience, guys. There's no more patience in the tank. People haven't got time for another project.
Do you have?
I think that's where we're at.
Do you have the patience?
I have the patience for this guy because we're not going to get better than Conte as a manager. Unless we want to strip the whole thing down, hit the reset button and do a 5 to 7 year rebuild, Ajax style, Pochettino style manager with a proper investment plan, with a proper youth and senior player combination, build something that we can say in 2030, that's why we did it. But do you know what? I'm going to be about 206 years old when that happens. So I'm fully on board with Conte because I don't think we're going to get better than him. And I'm sick to death of guys. I cannot go for another manager. This is manager number 14. If this doesn't work, if manager number 14 doesn't work, Daniel Levy needs to step down as chairman of Tottenham Hotspur. He needs to remove himself from the position because he has failed. That's how I look at it. So I want to give it one last throw of the dice as a fan. I'm going to be patient with Conte as long as he's here. But it really is. Jory spoke about it earlier. This is on the board now.
Mm-hmm. Got a super chat here for you, Stel, from 4Score, and says, this is the official Fix Stel's Internet Fund, but actually holding up pretty well today. Listen, if you could forward that super chat to me, Mr. 4Score, I will gladly put it towards a new internet connection. Probably more likely to go down the road and spend it on food, but...
Well, and Bob Spurs just...
What's he said?
He's been a super chat as well. 1 minute. He says, big up. Maybe the atmosphere is down to the current stressful climate. At least the likes of Arsenal are giving their fans a release with good football.
I don't think it's down to that because I've been noticing a decline for many years. It's not just a new thing. This isn't a new thing.
Do you know what is... I honestly... Okay. The best atmosphere I can remember in my lifetime at Spurs, where I was old enough to really remember the atmosphere, was either a big game that we were the underdogs with, and I'll never forget the atmosphere when we beat Chelsea 5-1 in the League Cup semi-final, which is now called the Carabao Cup. We beat them 5-1 to go to the final, but we lost the final to Blackburn Rovers. But that semi-final, I've never experienced an atmosphere like that at White Hart Lane. It was electric. Unbelievable atmosphere. That's what it should be about. But that was a game we were never expected to win, complete underdogs. So I think those games, the atmosphere will always be good. But otherwise, unless we're actually playing for something that we believe we can win, like under Pochettino, the atmosphere was brilliant. White Hart Lane was rocking. But look at the football. Look at what we were doing. We went from like a team that just about got top 4 every year to going for a league title against all the odds. We were there. So the atmosphere was brilliant because as fans, we believed. We really thought, shit, we might win a league title. Wow. Now, it just feels like we're trying to get top 4 and that's it. We're just trying to get top 4.
The atmosphere The atmosphere I'm alluding to, Stel, is, back in the Martin old days, it didn't matter who we were playing. I remember going to a game, Southend at home in the 3rd round of the League Cup. The atmosphere was incredible. And, week in, week out, it didn't matter who we played. It didn't matter what game it was, what competition it was. The fans would turn up week in, week out. And it started to wane a bit after we got Champions League under Harry Redknapp. And I actually think the atmosphere in the Martin old days and the Harry Redknapp days were both better than the Pochettino days. And I think it comes with expectancy. The more the fans expect, the less the fans sing. It's a weird situation.
I think it's a bit of both, right? So what you described under Martin Joel, that goes back to what I was talking about, underdogs. We didn't expect anything. So we were always like underdogs. So it's exciting times. But now, I don't think it's so much the expectancy is high that the atmosphere is low. It's the fact we haven't won silverware to then crave the next trophy, to then crave dominance, to then... we're starved of success. So it's hard to believe and support that we're going to be successful. not winning a trophy for so many years has made it really, really difficult for us as a fan base to believe in projects unless we see something that comes close to what success was almost look like. I'll give an example. If we had a team right now with the quality of players and the style of football that Poch gave us, I guarantee the atmosphere would be amazing. Because we would say to ourselves, this looks like Poch. Poch nearly won a league. But now we've got Conte. Yeah, I'm going to every game. I'm getting behind this. I don't think it's so much about expectation. I think it's more about we're starved of success and we're just finding it harder to believe that success is going to come until we see something that replicates what nearly became success, which was the Poch era or something that we did under Redknapp. You know, you look at the moment and I read a stat yesterday that this is the best, if we beat Everton, it's the best league start we've ever had since 1960s. Like, an unbelievable stat. And we're top of the Champions League group. Like, what more can Conte do? He's got us top of the Champions League group. We're breaking the Premier League records of our own. Like, he can't do any more results-wise. But I just get that feeling that fans are just waiting for it to go wrong. They're just waiting for the January transfer window not to be what we need it to be. And for all this just to be about us trying to get fourth or third, and that's it. And I think it's difficult. Listen, I'm not one of those fans, but there's a lot of fans like that, guys. A lot.
Stel, what do you think about this tweet? Someone, this is a tweet from Noz Ahmed talking about the atmosphere. He said, hard to expect a great atmosphere when the prices are so steep. If the club sorts out better pricing, then the atmosphere will naturally improve. Otherwise, don't be shocked to see empty seats scattered across the top for almost every game.
I disagree because if I was paying a lot of money, I'd want to make the most of that money and just really maximise my day out.
No,
because
but
I paid for it.
he's saying there are empty seats. That's he's saying that the pricing is causing more empty seats, which is hurting the atmosphere.
Well, Antonio's first game was in the Europa Conference League last season. I went to it. There was only 40,000 fans in the stadium, and the atmosphere was cracking.
Yeah,
because we were excited.
It was.
We were. All the Italian flags were out with the Godfather logo on it, and it was just. Wow, this is the new era. This is the big magic we've been waiting for. I just don't think fans are excited, guys. That's the truth. I think we look at it.
But
and
maybe
thinking,
it was a younger set of fans there because maybe tickets were cheaper for a Conference League
Tickets
game.
were cheap.
Yeah, so maybe there was a younger set of fans. And now, when you're charging £95 for a seat in a Champions League game, people who can go are probably older, and also there are going to be some empty seats as well. Does the pricing not hurt the atmosphere?
Do you know what? In fairness, he has got a point. When you put it like that, you've got a point. Because if it is pricing the more energetic fans, the younger ones, out, then then he's got a point. But see, it's a catch-22. If you drop the prices, then you're going to hear the argument of, well, the prices are so cheap. How do you expect us to afford top players? How do you expect us to afford 60 million for Richarlison's, and how do you expect us to potentially buy Bastoni for 80 million if we're charging 30 quid a ticket on a Champions League night? So I get it. I think what a club should do is say, if you're a certain age or you're a student, this is a price cap. If you're a member, a season ticket holder, this is a price cap, and only leave a certain number, a small percentage of seats at that. £95 to go watch Spurs versus Frankfurt is a disgrace. Let's have it right.
Agreed.
It's an absolute disgrace, especially with what's going on in the world right now. There should be no tickets at that price if we're going to really be honest about it. I'm just trying to be a bit pragmatic about it and try and be a bit positive, but I can't. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. You're right. I think, do you know what? The more I think about it, the more I think he's got a good point.
Yeah. All right, Stel. Always great to chat to you, my friend. And we'll see you next time.
Can I just say one thing about Brian Hill? Because I heard you talking about him.
Yeah.
Before. I'm not sure that he is going to do well at Tottenham. Not because I don't think he's got the technical ability or the dribbling ability. Clearly, he needs to beef up and be stronger. He's not going to progress unless he gets minutes. Game time is the number one method to develop a player. Game time is everything. But I just feel that with Brian Hill, I don't know where he fits in the Conte system. I don't know. Where would you play him?
Well, you can play him.
One of the number 10.
Yeah, left-sided or right-sided number 10.
Ahead of who? Kulusevski?
Well, it's not ahead of who. I mean, obviously he doesn't get in ahead of any of those players right now. But if he's going to play a position, let's say fill in for injury or come off the bench to make an impact, I think that's where he's going to play.
I would like to see Brian Hill play against mid-table to slightly higher up the league table Premier League opposition, because I'm worried maybe Frankfurt is his level. Maybe that's his level, and that's why he showed a few moments of something that potentially could come good. But until he gets the chance against those bigger teams, until he gets a regular period of minutes week in, week out against that kind of opposition, we really won't know about Brian Hill. But as it stands, he's not getting those minutes and he's not getting picked, which means his development isn't improving. So that's my take on Brian Hill.
What do you think the answer is for him to get a loan to another English club?
For him personally, yeah. But for us as a club, we can't do that when he's only one of two attacking options on the bench.
I get that. But I'm talking about his development.
He needs to be playing minutes,
Yeah.
Ben. Not just him. Spence needs minutes. He's going to deteriorate. Any player in this squad that isn't getting regular minutes is just going to go backwards, because each year you don't get game time. That's 1 year less experience you've now not got against your opponents who have got that extra year. So every year Brian Hill doesn't play, Saka gets 1 year better. Emil Smith-Rowe gets 1 year better. So when we go and play Arsenal, who's going to be the better player? The experienced kids, not our kid. So it's so important. Young players need minutes, man. It's the most crucial part of their development, is playing men's football week in, week out. But we've got a bad habit of doing this to players. We're doing it to Tanganga right now. He's not going to improve like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Take your point, Stel, and well raised. But that's all we got time for today. So thanks for coming on, Stel, and we shall speak to you soon.
Boys, have a good one, and I'm going to go down the road and buy a new dial-up.
Big up,
Nice
Stel.
one,
We got a super chat here from Bob Spur again, and he says, if you stay still, you go stale. I should know. Big up, Bob Spur. Big up, Bob. Do we have anyone else?
I can add someone else.
Who we got?
Spurs debate.
Spurs debates. Yeah, bring him on. Last caller of the day. We'll get Josh from Spurs Debate TV on in just a second. But yeah, it kind of like went off on a tangent today and going in on the atmosphere and the fan base.
It's good to talk about.
But yeah, I think it's a very important issue as well. It is an important issue. I just don't know a way around it, to be honest. But let's get Josh on in a second to see what he wants to talk about. Is he going to want to talk about the fans, or is he going to want to talk about the game last night? Josh, how's it going, my friend? Back in the car?
But still in the car, mate. Just parked up. I was listening to that very, very interesting conversation with Stel. So yeah, big up Stel and that. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation, isn't it? And I think it's a conversation that will be there until we get success, guys. I don't see that conversation going away until we lift the trophy and continue to finish in the top four. So it's a great debate, man, and I'm sure it's going to be ongoing this season.
So how much do you think the problems are down to maybe how the club treats the fans, and how much is it down to the footballing side as to why maybe the atmosphere isn't as great as it should be in home games?
The way I look at it is, there's a few elements, right? Let's just say Arsenal weren't playing the football they're playing. Would we feel as crap, with the noisy neighbours giving it to us every 5 minutes? Wherever you go online, Arsenal fans are having the time of their lives, right? Since the sort of Wenger invincible years, they haven't played this kind of football, and there's a genuine fear that they're going to finish above us. You turn the telly on and you see Arsenal putting in 3s and 4s. Turn on Tottenham and we're just about getting over the line. Brighton, we got over the line. It was painful. Yesterday, we got over the line. Painful. We should have put the game to bed yesterday, but we did what we've been doing, is allowing teams to stay in there, until the last minute, whether it was Chelsea, West Ham away, So it's been a difficult season. I think a lot of stress is coming out in fans. I can see Stell there releasing, and I'm sure a lot of fans watching your shows are thinking, right, when is it going to click? When are we going to start playing that football from last season? You know, from January, when are Spurs going to start doing it? And obviously, like I said, with the noisy neighbours doing so well, it is more difficult. But I think I'm on the fence of what you said there, Ben. I don't think it's as bad as maybe someone put it. I think Conte said himself, a few windows, and I can really get my hands into this. Like, I can really turn this around properly. Like I said, you know, Stell said they're 11 months, you know, Arteta 3 years. We've got to have perspective, guys, on the project, the process, whatever you want to call it. You know, there is a time a manager needs to get his own players in, and that doesn't happen in one window. So that's where we find ourselves.
Josh, but is there maybe a bit of anxiety in the fan base because Conte hasn't, you know, knuckled down or signed a contract long term? Harry Kane's coming to the end of his contract in the next couple of years. So until we get these guys signed down and really invested into the future, can we really think like that?
No, I agree with you, mate. You know, you look at other clubs, they've got their the main man in, whether it's a Klopp, a Pep, Arteta, Potter, you could argue for Chelsea. They've got the project and they're in the beginning of it, or they're halfway through it, or they've almost completed it. We're kind of still in the beginning. You know, we thought we were in the beginning last year. We still find ourselves in the beginning, a little bit a long way from when he took over, which, you know, the squad was different, but we're still not there, all sitting there with a cigar and a glass of champagne saying we're set for 3-4 years. But football with the top managers at the top level is always going to be, you know, like people want Conte. There's clubs that want Conte out there. You know, Inter probably want him back. Juve want him back. I'm sure there's other big clubs that will want him. It's down to Tottenham now to tie him down. There are some positive signals coming out of the press. Nothing official, obviously, that he is discussing a new contract. Kane's discussing a new contract. But until we get to that bit, Ben, it's going to be like this, mate. And it's down to the club to give Conte what he wants. You know, if it's money, I don't think it's purely financial. The man's, you know, I'm sure he's fine financially. He's well paid. It's projects. It's what does the project look like? What does it involve? You know, not just the budget, recruitment, wages, all the good stuff that comes with a proper project. What does that contain? And that's where Daniel Levy, Paratici, and Conte, hopefully, fingers crossed, they're having those conversations already, and they're close to getting him signed on the dotted line. We're in a good position on paper. Off paper, we've got some work to do. And some would say you're fortunate to be where you are, Tottenham. Others would say you've worked really hard and gritted out performances to get where you are. Whichever side of the fence you're on, whether it's half full or half empty, we've got a great platform to now go on to the next level because of where we find ourselves in both leagues. And let's be honest, if I'd said to you would be 3 points of City, 10 games in, and top of the Champions League group, you would have been fairly happy. And I'm sure most fans would have gone, I'll take that right now at the beginning of the season. Definitely. So I think we have to sometimes be grateful. I know that's a cliche to say that, and you know, we don't want to get too emotional about the situation, but I think this platform we've built in the first third of the season, or so the first quarter of the season, gives us now an opportunity to go to the next level. And I understand the fans are looking at January thinking, what Tottenham are we going to get? Are we going to get an aggressive Tottenham, or are we going to get a couple of signings that nobody knows about, a couple of potentials, or the real deal? And I think the key thing is we all know the problems now. Most 7 out of 10 fans would agree the parts of the squad that needs to be improved, and at least we know what they are, so we can go and get it done. And hopefully that's what Paratici will be doing over the next couple of months.
But in terms of yesterday, people have been complaining about level of performance. Was it a step in the right direction? Are you seeing more improved performances as the season goes on, or do you think maybe the last 10 or 15 minutes kind of maybe overshadowed the overall performance? Yeah, it's killing off games, isn't it, guys? It's probably one of the most difficult things to do from a mentality point of view, because you need your troops to be at it, and we know the scum is doing it. They're killing off games, whether it's that last goal. So I feel like Conte, I mean, they're off today, they'll be in tomorrow morning. I feel like his frustration is going to be, why are we not winning this 4-1? You know, why are we not going to that next level? And whilst we let teams be within a goal of us, we're always going to be at this level. We're always going to be up for grabs in terms of a win turning into a draw. Thankfully, we ain't dropped many points, and we've come back from losing positions.
So that's always a good sign.
No,
But we don't want to become that Tottenham.
Yeah, but I understand that. But I'm saying a lot of the season, people have been complaining about Spurs playing good football. What I'm trying to get is, did you think we were starting to play good football yesterday? Did you see better football?
You have to base it on the opposition. So when I look at Frankfurt, with respect to Frankfurt, they're not going to be similar to playing a top 4 club in the Premier League, in my opinion.
Did win Europa League last year, though, so they're still a decent side.
I get that, mate. But I think if you look at that squad, I think the top 6 would beat that squad, that team. I think 9 out of 10, the top 6 in the Premier League, the original top 6. Take away Brighton and whatnot.
Exactly. Don't shove West Ham in there because we know what happened to them last year.
Watch out for them, man. They're warming up. But I mean, look, they're not a top 6 team. So I look at Spurs and I look at Frankfurt, and I think we should be winning that anyways. So I don't think I can get too excited about beating Frankfurt 3-2, and with a man down, obviously, with the last bit of the game. So I'm not looking at yesterday going, great, we're back, the football's bang on. We're going to go to obviously we've got Everton. I think Everton's just as difficult as Frankfurt. I think the home game this weekend will be just as difficult as last night. So, and we might win 3-2 against Everton. I'll test ourselves against obviously the better teams. Man United away will be a bigger test. So I used to be the kind of fan that used to get excited on wins, but now I don't, unless it's a good team we beat. So that's why last night doesn't do much for me. But what is good to see is yesterday is we started obviously sluggish. We went a goal down, we came back, and we started playing some good football. And you can only beat what's in front of you, so you can't be too harsh on the lads. But in terms of competition, yesterday was a B grade team. It wasn't an A grade team. And the B grade teams are your Everton, Southamptons, Crystal Palaces. We should be beating them anyway. So I'm not too excited, mate, based on yesterday. We'll see what really happens over the next few games.
Yeah, we definitely will indeed. But Josh, always a pleasure speaking to you, my friend. And now, 3 points yesterday. So where's the samosas today?
Samosas are being made as we speak. I'm preparing them for Saturday. So, hopefully we'll have 3 wins on the spin. The magic number being 3, right? So,
exactly.
Beating Brighton, Frankfurt and Everton. So let's hope 3 is the lucky number. And then I might have to think of a 4-way samosa if we go and beat... if we win next week, which will be the first of its kind, man. So watch out for the 4-way samosa.
Looking forward to it. I definitely want a taste of that. But big up, Josh. We'll speak to you very soon, my friend.
Take care, boys.
In a bit. Always good to get Josh on. One more super chat before we end off from Rambro. Big up Rambro says Hill's body type will not respond well to bulking up. Chicken leg Mahrez manages and he's a lightweight. I mean, but Mahrez and Gil, completely different.
Yeah, their upper body strength, very, very different in my opinion. So I think Gil just needs to be able to have that strength so he can hold people off. Right now, it's just way too easy for him to get out muscled and get muscled off the ball.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think that he does need to bulk up. I mean, there are different ways you can bulk up in different parts of the body. I'm not too sure exactly what Gil needs because you don't want to take away from how nimble he is on the ball and stuff like that. But he definitely needs to start some sort of gym work, that's for sure. And I'm sure Conte and the coaching staff there will have a good plan for him, that's for sure. We do have one more guest coming in the final minutes of the stream. We'll bring him on. It goes by the name of Michael. How you doing, mate?
I guess I won't take you long. I know that you want probably to go home, but that debate about like the atmosphere, the fans, it was really interesting for me seeing like different viewpoints. I mean, different, mostly one viewpoint, but the right viewpoint in my opinion. And it's a bit harsh, especially like when you look at it from the point of a foreign supporter, because like. I fully subscribe to the idea that the pricing kills the atmosphere, in my opinion, because like if you look at it from my perspective, right? If you told me that in 2 weeks I have booked flights to London and I need to pay £90 to get into the stadium and watch the Champions League game, I'm all over it, right? I will do this without like blinking even, right? But I am like a foreign fan who will be first time in the stadium. It's hard for me to build an atmosphere if you know. I know the way we are singing. I know the words, but if you are first time in a stadium, it's not the same thing as if you are a regularly going fan, right? Like you guys, like Stel, like everyone else, right? And if that pricing kills the joy for that fans to come to the match, then I understand why, if the stadium is filled with fans who are there for the first time or who aren't like so energetic, outgoing, then I understand why the atmosphere is worse than it used to be when the tickets were cheaper, right? And on top of that, I think that you need to add that I honestly struggle sometimes to understand what's going on with our fan base right now, because I know there is some middle ground. I know that you cannot be like too positive and too negative, because like what I mean is that I really don't like when people are fully like apologetic to our ownership, to our players, and they forgive them for anything that they do, right? But I also really don't like when people, at least for me, it feels like what Stel said, that they don't want Conte here, but they are afraid to say it outright, and they are just waiting for everything to collapse. In my opinion, that's my feeling. So that when it collapses, they can say, "Here, I told you so. I told you that this football was shit," and all that jazz. That's, for me, that's unacceptable. In my opinion, I just want to say that, of course, my words probably won't reach anyone, but it's mad for me that we don't give this team the full support that this team deserves, in my opinion. And as you guys said, if we win against Everton, it's the best start in the Premier League or since the 60s, right? We are top of the group in the Champions League. I know the group is not like the hardest. We've topped the group with Real, as far as I remember, right?
Yeah.
We've topped the group with Real, so that was like a harder opposition than we have right now. But still, it's Champions League. It's the best European competition that you can be participating in, right? So, in my opinion, this team deserves a lot of our support, and I am confident that this team can play way better than it does right now, because I saw it last year. And all the arguments saying that the football last year wasn't so good, we were just lucky. No, we weren't. You aren't. You won't win 4-0 or 5-1 or 5-0 if you are just lucky. There has to be something more to it, right? And I see solidity in this team, and I see something that I haven't seen for a long time, which is I think our mentality is changing. It's not that the Spurs attack isn't out fully, but I feel like it's diminishing, in my opinion. And I personally really enjoy watching us. I know it sometimes can be dull, and it sometimes can be like a bit boring. I understand that it's not like the most favorable football that you can play. But what changed in my perception is that I go into a game against Leeds, Everton, those type of teams, and I don't know why it's not more common, but I am confident that we are going to get a result. Which I wasn't confident when we were, for example, under Mourinho, right? We also had an amazing start to the season under Mourinho, and we are top of the table in November. But I wasn't confident about any of those performances that we displayed back then, right? And even though we won against City, we drew with Chelsea, we won against Arsenal in like 3 matches in a row. I think those were the 3 matches. Then we came Crystal Palace, and I wasn't confident at all that we are going to win against them, right? But right now, I feel a lot more confidence watching this team. And as I said, I believe that the better football will come. I know I know it can get annoying for some fans to say that, you said like 7 game weeks ago that the better football is going to come, and it hasn't come yet, right? But
it's coming, Michael. It's coming.
Yeah, for me, it's coming, right? And it's a really tough situation, because I also understand what Stel said, that the expectations of our fans are really low, because in their mind they don't feel confident. And I understand what that feeling is, because that would be like me expecting Poland to win the World Cup, right? It's not. It's never going to happen. Like I know it's never going to happen, but we are the underdog, and if if I cheer for my team playing like Argentina or whatever, right? The atmosphere is electric in our country, right? Because we know that we aren't supposed to beat them, but we will. And I guess that's the feeling that some Spurs fans miss. That they kind of got used to like being at the top of the food chain, but not exactly at the top of the food chain like City or Liverpool were, right?
Yeah.
But they expect a lot more that they can get for some reason. And that's why they feel down, in my opinion. So, like as I said, you cannot really expect Tottenham to win the Champions League, right? We know that there are plenty of better teams, and if we come like in the round of 16 against Bayern or Real Madrid, they are probably going to win against us, right? And in that moment, I feel like the atmosphere will be better because we won't feel like the favorite to win that tie, right? And you know, yeah, I it's just mad for me that we are playing, we are getting our results are so good, yet the fan base is so divided, and I feel like it won't change until something drastic happens. Unfortunately, I feel like we will be spreading like apart unless we start playing a way better football, or unless something mad happens with like the ownership, the coaching staff, or whatever, which I don't want to happen, right? I want to support this coaching staff the best way I can. But as I said, I feel like some people just have an agenda against Conte, against some players, and it really won't change their mind until they see something different, in my opinion. And that's the sad reality. At least I feel like it's. I don't know. Yeah, sorry guys, I talked a lot. I
think there's a lot of validity.
From you.
I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. I really do. I think you've kind of hitting the nail on the head, to be honest. And I think you're right in terms of what you say is that if we were to play a Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, the atmosphere would be a lot better because naturally it's a much bigger game. I mean, you saw last year when Arsenal came to the Lane how good the atmosphere was. But these games are just too far in between, aren't they?
Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest. I watched your vlog from the North London Derby like 5 times already because I just love I just love the parts where you were showcasing the stadium singing. It was so like the feeling of community for me was mad. And I've never been to the stadium. I've never been like I was once in England, but I've never been there like with as a football supporter, right? I was there in a high school trip, so it's a different feeling, right? But the feeling of community for me was mad. I was really excited when I saw that, right? And the decline from that point to where we are at now is mad for me because it's not like we lost 10 games on a bounce or whatever, right? If we were doing,
we've lost one game since then, by the way. We've lost one game.
One game, right? We've lost like what, the last 20 games we lost 3 in the league or 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, something like this. It's mad for me. And I just feel like it is also connected with the expectations of fans to play like I think it all stems with the willingness to see a better football, in my opinion. And unfortunately, with the squad that we have, with the coaching staff that we have, with the profile of the players that we have, we are going to be the team that gives the ball away more often than not, right? That we are going to have 45% possession against like seemingly lower level opposition. But I think what people struggle to understand is, or at least I feel like people struggle to understand that you don't have to have the ball to control the game. And there have been plenty of games this season that I felt that we are in full control, but people want to see us with the ball. People want to see like higher score lines. Of course, I also want to see us slapping teams 4-0, right? But I understand that it's not always going to happen, and I understand that there is like different advantages to different like formations that the team can play. And I feel like that's what people have to like get into their heads, that we aren't always going to be the dominant team. We aren't going to play like we did under Pochettino with 65% possession, like mad score lines, dribbling, like flair. We are a different team right now, unfortunately for some people, but it's still your team. It's still Tottenham Hotspur that you were born into, like you were destined to support, right? So show some support when we are doing good, and also show support when maybe we aren't doing like so great, and we need that 12th man.
Exactly.
Like it's all for me. Like being a football fan, it's all about like the community, that belief, right? Because I've said it once already. If you want guaranteed success, then there is like 5 teams in the world that you should support. It's Bayern, City, PSG, Real Madrid, and like that. That's it basically, right? Because those teams always pretty much win the league. They win the Champions League. I mean, PSG and City don't, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you are a Norwich fan, like, why would you support Norwich? They are never going to win anything, right? With all due respect, of course. Maybe I will be surprised in 20 years, but for now, Norwich aren't going to win anything. So why would you be a Norwich fan, right? But you are a Norwich fan because you feel a part of community. You want to believe that something positive will happen, right? So stop getting down over good results, right? That's mad for me. Like we are top of the Champions League group and we are third in the league, only 3 points behind the team that we all say that will slap this league up and they will like probably do another Centurions, right? And we are only 3 points behind them. So get behind this team. That's my message. It's mad for me that some people want Conte out or don't want to see us like successful, because that's mad for me. Sorry, boys. Like.
I can completely get where you're coming from. That's for sure. But Michael, thank you so much for coming on today, my friend, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, of course, boys. Thank you for giving me time, and sorry for coming on so late. But
no, it's all right, mate. It's all right. It's good to chat to you. We'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, speak to you guys. Bye.
Cheers, mate. And I think that brings an end to our stream today. A lot more content coming your way. We've got player ratings up next, and the 5 takeaways, and you're also getting a Predict the Prem today as well. So I guess that's just one more thing left to say, and that is get behind the team and up the Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.